Hello and welcome back to the Solland Uprising Mighty Empires campaign. I am Gary and Reaver, and this is the third match of round 6. This match sees 2,850 points of Wissenland versus 2,750 points of Solland. And specifically, Solland is represented entirely by ogres, but I'll come back to that. This is an ordinary battle line scenario taking place outside of Pfeildorf, as in this road here is leading into Pfeildorf, and this is the main road going past it. After Solland and Wissenland worked together to liberate Pfeildorf from the Skaven, Caster saw an opportunity. He realised that now is his perfect time to take the ancestral capital of Solland and claim it for his Solland Revivalists. In order to do that, he has instructed a large force of his mercenary ogres to attack and defeat the Wissenland army sent to stop him. So let's have a look at the armies. First of all, I just want to call out how meagre this force looks. Like, there is 100 points of difference between this force and this one. And do bear in mind that these ones at the back are just tight formations of the skirmishers, the archers and the huntsmen. But still, it looks like so much compared to this. But yes, the Solland force is entirely comprised of ogres, and the reason for this is Caster wants to use their strength, but he also doesn't want to be seen by the population of Pfeildorf to be fighting alongside giant hulking monsters who are going to kill the people they probably know. Instead, he's going to use the ogres to claim victory and then move in and claim Pfeildorf himself. To that end, the force is being led by Gloss Wallcrusher, the leader of the Smoky Gun tribe. He is supported by the Slaughtermaster Cag Meat Rinser, a bruiser called Krork the Little, and a butcher called Zod Tenderfist. And you'll notice that, in case you're unfamiliar with ogres, the Slaughtermaster and the butcher are the spellcasters. Here is the rest of the force, and it's really not many models, but they are each worth a lot. So we have a relatively big force of Iron Guts, a relatively big unit of ogres, some Lead Belchers, and then just 6 Mournfang, but it's huge. They are huge models, like each one is the size of a chariot from any other army. Then an Iron Blaster, and my favourite ogre model, the Stonehorn. They are fairly simple-minded in how they plan to do this. They are just going to smash into the enemy and then smash them apart and then just keep smashing until they start eating. And that's another reason Caster doesn't want to be directly involved with those right outside Pfeildorf. The Wissenland army has a couple of returning characters. It is being led by the General Harold Giant Slayer, who is going to turn his giant slaying skills to ogres, as well as the Wizard Lord Bodo, because Death Magic, I think, will be pretty good against ogres. They are, like, limited in number but high in wounds, which is what Death Magic is pretty good at. Bodo has brought his 2 disciples, Sieger Scholz and Norbert Wach. And then there is the Battle Standard Bearer, who is Captain Rocco Elsner. The rest of the force, it is a relatively large force as they go, and that's partially because we don't have any knights or cavalry. We've got a big unit of archers, 2 units of handgunners, a relatively big unit of spearmen with a couple of detachments of halberdiers. This is intended to receive a charge. Some flagellants, who are pretty good at taking out stuff like ogres. Some greatswords, who are pretty good at taking out stuff like ogres. A couple of cannons, a Hellblaster volley gun. Mortars are worthless here. And some huntsmen. I don't really know what the archers and huntsmen can do. I'm hoping that the sheer quantity of arrows that they will be putting out will do something, but they could just be worthless. First of all, we roll to see board edges, and yeah, the yellow dice doesn't really work, does it? It makes it too hard to actually see the number on it. It is a 3, so Wissenland won the roll-off, and they choose their board edge. Terrain-wise, there is pretty much just impassable terrain scattered around, and then a stone wall here, which is pretty much just an obstacle that people can take cover behind. Wissenland has decided to go for this side, as it is a little bit closer to the wall to then begin manning it. And now the roll to see who deploys. Wissenland deploys first as well. As it needs to be pretty central anyway, let's go with the spearman right in the middle, and then, with enough space for 1 unit of halberdiers here, and the other unit of halberdiers here, and they, as long as they're within 3 inches, which they very easily are. 3 inches is actually a lot more than it seems. Like, is that 3 inches? That's just above, so actually, like, that is a legal deployment that far apart, which sort of surprised me. I feel like it should be closer, but anyway. So, yeah, that is 1, because they are the detachments. And the only things we need to be aware of here are the cannon will have difficulty with the wall, as will the stone riders, sorry, the stone horn, and the, it says stone horn riders for some reason. The stone horn and the Mournfang. Let's have Gloss and his wall crushers here, because they are planning on just going straight through the wall. He's Gloss Wall Crusher. I think the handgunners are going to have to deploy carefully, so I reckon here for one of them. Let's go with the Ogre Bulls here. The idea is that these together are just going to completely Ogre Bull rush the wall, and if they try and defend it, then they're going to have a hard fight from the get-go. Let's put the Flagellants here, ready to just go straight down the road, basically, and face whatever is going to come down this open area, which is probably going to be like the Stonehorn or the Mournfangs. Actually, let's make these buildings garrisonable, because I think that'll make things a bit more interesting. It's a bit sparse on terrain. So yeah, these one-story buildings, so 5 models can shoot out of them. So bearing that in mind, let's go with the Iron Belchers here, planning to move straight into that building. I did think about making it so that they had to come around to this side to enter, but that's not how it works with the rules. Presumably the idea is that when they reach it, they sort of scuttle around and into whatever door they can. Or maybe they just like smash and climb through the windows. The point is they don't need to go through the front door. In that case, let's have the greatswords here ready to try and take this from them, because they're clearly going to move into there. Alright, let's place the Mournfang Cavalry, which is some of the hardest hitting cavalry in the entire game. That's going to go here. By the way, the road is exactly the width of this. Like, I measured it specifically so that like even these guys could move down the road, which would make sense for like a major road going past the city. God, where on earth am I going to put these archers? I don't know. Like, there really isn't that much bloody space. Alright, I'm going to put the handgunners all the way over here. And I'm going to say they can't start in it, even though it sort of technically clips their starting zone. They're going to have to move in at the beginning of their turn. The Iron Blaster technically doesn't count as a war machine, so it can get deployed normally. So I'll put that over here. What's the range on it? 36 is not as long range as some cannons, so there's fine. The Huntsmen have scouts, so they get deployed after everything else, so it's got to be the archers. Where I guess I'm going to have to put them here. Like, they're not all going to be able to shoot, but I'm hoping that they can do something. Like, oh god. Yeah, that's fine. I'll go with there. Then the Stonehorn, I'm guessing, is a good bet right here to go stomping past everything to the handgunners. Or should it go over here? No, because over here it's going to have to face the greatswords, and I don't know how well it would fare. But here, I think it can take handgunners and archers. Now it is all of the war machines, so we've got 2 great cannons and a Hellblaster volley guns. The Hellblaster is probably best facing the Stonehorn. Oh, it's really stupid to put it in front. Oh god, I may have just scuppered myself with the lines of sight. There it's going to be too easy to target. Although maybe I should have this a bit more centrally. I think this is going to do much better at shredding ogres than it is shredding a Stonehorn. So actually, I'm going to put it over here, because it's got a range of, I think, 24. So anything that comes a bit closer will be in prime shooting range. And then the cannons, let's stick one cannon in this corner. And the other cannon, oh, I guess that should go over here as well. I think there, because that's going to be sort of... this space is going to clear up pretty quickly and hopefully give some sight lines for the cannon. And then the last ogre thing is the only lone character, because the rest have all been part of units. So Cag is actually he's the Grey Moor, so he's mostly supportive spells. So I'll put him behind. Oh, damn, sorry, I should have rolled spells before I deployed bloody anyone. Bodo is a 4th level Law of Death, so he gets 4 of these. First one, Caress of Lanif. I've been getting a lot of death spells, like the last one had it. This has got Bodo, Siga, and Zod is also using the Law of Death. Yeah, I'd say Caress of Lanif is a pretty good one to go for. Second spell is also Caress of Lanif. I get to pick any. Oh, Purple Sun might be a good one. Depending on where that hits, that could do a ton of damage. Yeah, let's go with Purple Sun. If anyone's going to be able to cast it, it's Bodo. His third one is Caress of Lanif again. I am shuffling this, I promise. I think I'll go with Soul Blight. I think that's going to be a pretty good one for against ogres. And then Bodo's final spell is Caress of Lanif again. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre that I drew that one bloody, 4 times? I'll go with Doom and Darkness. I don't think particularly highly of Spirit Leech, the signature spell, so I'll go with those 4. And then Siga, he is only a 1st level, which is why I went with Bodo first, so that I can guarantee Siga gets something decent, because as I've drawn another duplicate, I can pick. I think I'll actually go with Aspect of the Dread Knight, because that could be useful, and I don't know if that's like a good pick for being literally the only spell that Siga has, but I think that's my best bet. And then Norbert is a 2nd level Law of Shadows, so his first one is Pit of Shades. Ooh, another initiative one. Oh, that is actually like a very similar one to Purple Sun, so let's go with that one. Makes sense that he'd sort of know that when Bodo knows Purple Sun. And his second one is Occam's Mind Razor. Leadership instead of strength. That could be very helpful because they're high toughness enemies. Yeah, let's go with that one then. What's Melkoth's debuff? No, yeah, I'll go with these. So he has got Pit of Shades and Occam's Mind Razor. And the Law of the Great Maw, unique to ogres, is generally buffs and debuffs. So his first one is Toothcracker, +1 toughness. I think I'll swap that for the signature Spine Marrow. He is a 4th level, so his second one is the Maw. Ooh, yeah, well, I mean, I don't have a choice now. I've already swapped for the signature spell, so I'm stuck with whatever I draw. His third one is Toothcracker, +1 toughness. Alright, that was the one I swapped out, I think. And his 4th one is the Maw again. Fantastic, I get to choose. Bone Crusher could be a good one because the great swords have pretty good armor. So no armor saves allowed, even on a strength 2, has a decent chance of doing some damage and is it's a decent casting. But yeah, I'll go with that one. And then Zod is a 2nd level Law of Death. So his first one is Purple Sun. I don't think there is actually much use for that. Because I don't think he's going to do well with it. I mean, I don't think highly of Spirit Leech, but I do think it's actually better than Purple Sun in this case. Then again, they've got... alright, no, I'll take Purple Sun. Because it's a fun one, and if I can get that off, then that will be devastating. Second one, of course, Caress of Lanif again. Yeah, alright, I'll take that one. Okay, so we have our spells. Cag... Let's see, the only one he has that isn't an augment... Oh no, it's got a magic missile, so he doesn't need line of sight for that one. The Maw, however, he doesn't. So I think I'll just put him right here. I'll just turn off Snap. I'll put him right here between these 2 units so that he does have line of sight. What is the range on Bone Crusher? It is 36 if upcast, so okay. Yep, that's a good positioning. Then on this side we have the 3 casters as the only ones left to place. Bodo needs a clear line of sight, so let's put him here. The awkward thing with Bodo is he can't claim Look Out Sir because he's on a horse, but if I keep him away from anything that's likely to shoot him, that's actually right in the way of anything likely to shoot him, isn't it? I think it's my best bet though. And Siga has Aspect to the Dread Knight, so he can loiter behind things. And Norbert has direct damage and an augment, so he can also loiter behind. And then finally, after everything else, the Huntsman can deploy anywhere that is at least 12 away from an enemy. So sadly, that means they can't deploy inside this building because it's not 12 away. but they can deploy like over here. Is this 12 away? Yes. So is that 12 away at the closest? Yes, it is. So they can deploy there and just cause a bit of havoc from the get-go. And now the roll to see who chooses the first turn, with the ogres getting +1 as they deployed earlier. They've finished deploying. Oh, damn! You know what I forgot? I forgot that Solland chose scouts as their event, meaning that they deploy entirely second, and... Alright, so to represent that without having to start from bloody scratch, is there any deployment I want to move? To be honest, probably not, because sort of the way they've deployed, they don't have that many units. They've deployed sort of the best way they can for the terrain. So the Mournfang going straight down there. Also, drawing lines on this is going to be a bit tricky because decals get a bit weird. Lead Belch is going in there. The Iron Blaster with its line of sight. Yeah, I think everything's fine. Because I think the only thing that could have caught it out is like this cannon. And it's like, would I deploy... would they have deployed this here if they didn't know the Stonehorn was going to be there? Maybe not, but also maybe. Oh, I screwed it up. Oh, well, it's fine. Like, I don't think things would be that different, and apart from starting from scratch, you know, I already know where I'm going to put stuff now, you know? However, scouts also means that the one who picked scouts gets the first turn regardless, so I don't need to roll off. I don't remember what the results were. I think Wissenland actually won. But no, in this case, because they chose the Scouts event, Solland goes first. So we begin with Solland Turn 1. Nothing is within charge range, so instead we will have the Lead Belchers move straight into this building. The Mournfangs pivot once, and then they have a movement of 8. So then they can move 7 down here, and that puts them 17 away, so they'd need to roll a 9. They have Swiss Stride, so they've got a decent chance of doing that, so they're going to stop there. They're not going to march. Gloss and his Iron Guts are going to move, they have a movement of 6, they're going to move 6 to there, and then they're easily more than 8 away. So then they're going to pivot, and then move another 5, and they are going to be followed by Krork and his Bulls, who are going to move 6 forward, pivot, and then 5. The Stonehorn has a movement of 7, so he's just going to move 7 straight down this edge, and then is going to march, because this is no reason not to get as close as possible. The sooner this thing can charge, and it's not going to be counter-charged. Why is that flying into the air? I think it got a bit too close to the edge of this thing. But yeah, the sooner this thing can charge, the only threat here is it's going straight at a cannon, but there really is not much we could do about that. I suppose I could have deployed it here and it would have a cannon and Hellblaster instead. So unless the Stonehorn was going to go down the road, this was the only option. Cag is going to move and march as well, so he stays up with these guys. He's going to move the full 12. And the Iron Blaster is going to move up to here and then pivot as well. So that has nice sight lines. Magic. 5. Channeling Solland. Nope. Channeling Empire. 1. Where is Zod? He is there. Oh, that is actually the perfect place to attempt a purple sun, because that just goes straight that way. Also, it turns out I've been doing vortexes slightly wrong. Turns out they do not sit on a unit. If they touch a unit, they move through it. And if a unit moves into a thing, they also move through it and sort of skip to the far side. Not sure how I feel about that, but that's apparently the way they work. I'd need all of my dice to pull off a purple sun. I could instead go for something else like a Bone Crusher, and oh, you can't see the great swords, so they'd be the prime target for that. Yeah, before we crash into them is the perfect time to do a purple sun. It's the only time really, because we're going to be in pretty much melee for the rest of the game. Is the hope with the ogres. So yeah, let's go with a purple sun. 5 dice and a level 2 is probably not enough to upcast, so I'll just go with a 15. Alright. Not irresistible. Total of 15 plus his level 17. They may as well use everything they can to dispel with Bodo, so they get a +4 to this. Irresistible dispelling. It is gone. Shooting. We'll start off with the stone horn. The riders, rather than the horn itself, there's a rider who has a harpoon launcher, which is normally move or fire, but not if you are mounted. So I think that might go for the cannon, because it's strength 6, so it's a decent chance of actually doing something, because shooting hits the war machine itself, which is a toughness of 7. So, I mean, it's a 1 in 3 chance at doing, was it D3 wounds? So there's a 1 in 3 chance, with then a 1 in 3 again, so like, what's that, a 1 in 9? Of just killing the cannon outright and stopping the threat entirely. I'm going to take it. It is at over half range, and we have moved, which means I'm only hitting on a 6, so maybe not. To be honest, I think it's still better than trying to go for a handgunner. I don't think they're going to do a great deal. So yeah, let's go for the cannon with the harpoon. First shot, misses. The Iron Blaster, I think, will shoot, because it's technically a chariot and not a war machine, but also it can move and fire. So I think it will, it's going to shoot the Cannon of the Sky Titans at the Flagellants. So I'm going to aim it right here, sort of 10 inches short, because the Cannon of the Sky Titans fires basically a cluster of cannonballs. So it bounces. You roll 2 dice to determine how far it bounces and use the higher, and it only doesn't bounce if you roll both on misfire. So it may still misfire on the first one, but the point is it's got a high chance of bouncing a fair distance, so you want to undershoot as much as possible. So it overshoots by 2 inches. That is not particularly far, obviously, so that's 11. And it instead goes there. So that is 8 inches short. And it bounces, I may have messed up here, 10 inches. Wow, 10 and 10. So you use the higher one anyway. So actually I undershot in a rare instance of undershooting. So yeah, it goes 10 inches in this direction. So it hits, it looks like the first 3 ranks. That's actually not amazing. But yeah, it hits the first 3 ranks of the Flagellants. So it hits with strength 10. And it kills 1. Are you kidding me? 2 bloody 1s. Alright, kills 1 Flagellant. We have our first casualty. That's disappointing. The Lead Belchers can fire even though they garrison this turn. And they draw line of sight and distance from any point on the building, so I could actually shoot at the Huntsman, but frankly I don't think they're much of a threat. So I'm going to go for the things like the Flagellants, which are much more likely to do some damage before they die. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Flagellants. And the thing with the Lead Belcher guns is they ignore penalties for moving and shooting and multiple shots. So they do D6 shots each. I cannot seem to find any rules saying the monstrous infantry don't get the 5 model shooting in the same way that other ones do. Because I think the idea is that it's fire points rather than all clustering around the same one. So they're technically like shooting from each of these windows and the door or whatever. But yes, the point is that 5 Lead Belchers can still shoot, and it's actually really sort of quite hard to tell how far in this is because the building's doing this really annoying weird thing with counting the distance. Okay, so by my count, from this corner, they are just over half range. That's what I was trying to find out. So they fire a total of 17 shots, and they don't have the other penalties, but they do suffer from long range penalty. 3 hit. And 2 wound, and I don't believe they have any armor. No armor at all, so that is 2 Flagellants dead. And with no combat, we go into Wissenland Turn 1. I don't think they are going to be doing any charging either. First of all, we'll have the handgunners move into this building, like so. And then they're going to have to move up and hold this barrier, because that is their best chance at not being overrun. So, do they have space? I think if I do it in the right order. Alright, so let's see. If we move 4, are they now within 8 inches? No, they can march. Good. They're going to move up another 2, rotate once, And then one more. Ooh, they're not actually quite reaching it in their move. So they are actually like an inch off. Spearmen are going to move up 2 inches. Wheel once. And the last inch. And then they are also over 8 inches. So they are then going to march. And the difference is they can reach it. So they are now manning this barrier. And I'm guessing these halberdiers are also going to be able to reach it, so they move up 4 inches. And they are going to pivot, and they are basically there, so they are also manning that barrier. The flagellants and the greatswords are facing this down. Actually, sorry, could the greatswords have charged this? 12. They would need an 8. They're going to get stand and shotted, so they probably don't want to do that. There's no reason for them not to. I mean, the difference is they could get around a combat and scare them out. Let's have the flagellants come up 4 inches and then march. So wheel and then 3 more. So they are going to hold this flank against the Mournfang, while the great swords are going to come up. Oh, actually, the great swords are going to come up 3 inches and then pivot. Were they within 8 inches? They probably were, actually, so the flagellants wouldn't actually need to test. Did I? Where's the general? Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. Because, where is he? I've lost him. Harold is the general. I don't know where he is. He's lost. And I broke the greatswords. Damn, everything's going wrong. There he is. Yeah, Harold is here with the greatswords, but Harold is wearing the Terrifying Mask of E, I think it's called. So that's useful for because it makes him immune to terror, because it gives him terror, but it also means that other units can't use his leadership, so although he is the general, he doesn't have an inspiring presence because no one else can use it. So that is a bit of a downside with having him as my general. And I could have gone with Bodo as my general instead, but I think both the rules of the highest leadership has to be the general, I think, which is Harold, but also Bodo is definitely not leader material. Although he has disciples, that is a different thing entirely. But I think the flagellants need to test on a 7 in order to march, which they fail, so they can't actually march. So I'm going to have to move them back 4 inches. Because I'm fairly sure, yeah, they were within 8 inches of the lead belches in the church. But the great swords, I think, will also try and march. They are unable to use Harold's leadership, but I think with this you use the highest leadership in the units. They are still testing on Harold's 9. Where are the dice? Up here. They are still testing on Harold's 9 in order to march, which is enough. So they are going to move up another... Ooh... Actually, they don't want to go too far up because they don't want to be a nicer target for the Mournfang. They want the flagellants to be charged. So actually, they're just going to move up to there, which is very, very slightly forward. Bodo is going to shimmy a little this way. Norbert is going to move up 4 to here. Seeger is going to move up 4 to there because he's got the terror spell, the fear spell. By the way, just to call out, because of course I'm using my Ultimate Table mod linked in the description to play 8th edition, all of these bases are correctly sized. Before the resizing, essentially each of these was like 25% bigger because they were 25 mil instead of 20 mil, so it's like another quarter. So imagine how much trouble I would have had fitting all of this on if these were like a quarter bigger. Anyway, magic. 8. Channeling ogres. Nope. Channeling Empire. Sorry, Wissenland. I keep saying Empire. I mean, technically it is the Empire, like armyless, but yeah, they are Wissenland. Nope. Or Bodo would love to do a Purple Sun back, but if he did now, it would hit so many of his own men. He can't. I've just realised, with Doom and Darkness, that would be the perfect time to double that with the Spirit Leech, the signature spell. Just didn't click that that's how you're supposed to do it. I think we'll go with a Pit of Shades on 6 dice, upcast. So 17 minus his level, I need 15. And this could be devastating early on. Not irresistible, total of 20 plus level 22. Yeah, that's pretty devastating, and I don't know that they can dispel that on 5 dice. which has an average of, 17.5, and they need 16. So, I mean, technically it's in their favour, but it could also be horrendously devastating if that hits like right here and just wipes out one of these 2 units. So I think, although it's really early to be doing it, I think Zod is going to use his Dispel Scroll. God, it feels early to do that, but that's a really devastating spell that could potentially get through. I mean, Purple Sun is more devastating, but is also not a threat right now. So yeah, I think Zod is going to use his Dispel Scroll and just nullify that spell entirely. Bodo is going to try a Doom and Darkness on the Iron Guts, but it's virtually no chance of this working. So he needs a 10. He's got 2 dice left, and they've got bloody 5 to dispel. So even with the +4, that is exactly 10. And then they have, is it 5? Yeah, they've got 5 dice to dispel with a +4 to this. Yeah, that's dispelled easily. Also, yeah, they totally could have got rid of that 16 or whatever it was, but still. Oh, I sort of forgot the Huntsmen were here. Whoops. Oh well, they're okay shooting from here this turn. I mean, they should really go for the Morn Fangs. Are they all within range? They are, but they're all at long range anyway, so yeah. They're going to shoot at the Morn Fangs. So they are all within range, but they are at long. Champion. Miss. Everybody else. 3. No wounds. Wow, poor. Handgunners move, so they can't shoot. The volley gun can shoot at the lead belchers in the church. It fires a total of 10 halved by the misfire to 5 shots. It's at long range, and them being garrisoned means they're in hard cover, so that is a further -2. So they need a 7 to hit, which is a 6+, and then a 4+. 1. Yeah, they do get a hit. And a wound. And armor piercing and strength goes straight through their armor, so they do actually inflict a wound. The cannon actually has no target. Ha. Yeah, that's... I mean, I put it there more for future turns, because this is going to open up. We have 20 archers here. What are they going to shoot at? I think they're all going to struggle to shoot the same target. I think they should go for the bulls. I think that's the best overall target, but... well, they are all within long range of it, so it's just how many can draw line of sight. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think that's 16. Like, it's a bit unclear whether this should count as cover, because they are shooting past the wall, but they're not... Both the ogres are very tall, and the cover the wall provides is intended for if something is up against it. So I think it's probably okay. I think they have a pretty clear line of sight at the ogres past it. So that is 16 all at long range. So I'm trying something a bit different with these large units of archers, because normally I go for sort of small tight units that I can position carefully, but with this I'm going for sort of much larger units that can hopefully do something. So they got 4 hits and 2 wounds, and they get an armor. Both failed, so they actually inflict 2 wounds on the ogre balls. Not bad. The handgunners are definitely going to have to go for the stone horn. It is bearing down on them, and they are increasingly terrified. Some are within half range, but I don't believe the back row is. Yeah, so 5 are in short range, 5 are in long. Short range, 4. Long range, 2 more, total is 6. Low chance to wound, but there are quite a few no wounds. And then the cannon, this is the best chance at actually taking down the stone horn before it absolutely mulches. So let's aim the cannon. How far short is that? That's 9 inches short. Let's make that 8. 6. Yeah, 7.4. That'll do. So it overshoots by 8. 11.9. Right there. So it hits the stone horn, and it doesn't matter if it bounces or not. And it has a very high chance to wound. It does. Yeah, the cannon was absolutely the worst thing to charge towards, but they spaced them in such a way that even if I had redeployed the stone horn with, scouts, etc., there was nowhere else safe for it. Their safest place was right here, I guess. So maybe I should have put them there instead and chance the Mournfang against them instead. It does d6 wounds, 5. However, the stone horn has a stone skeleton, and this means that multiple wounds are halved, rounding up. So it only does 3 wounds instead of 5, which is still half of the stone horn's wounds in a single bloody shot. But next turn it is going to start doing some work, so that was a calculated gamble. And with no combat, we go into Solland Turn 2. Speaking of calculated gambles, shall we do this? It has Frenzy, the Stonehorn, so it has to charge, which I want it to anyway. Has a movement of 7, it needs to clear 12 inches, so it rolls 2 dice. It doesn't have Swiss Stride or anything, so it needs a 5, which it gets. It also has Terror, which means the handgunners need to immediately take a panic test as they are charged by the Stonehorn. So they are testing on their own 7 as they're outside of the general's range. The general doesn't have a range. They fail. So they immediately flee. So, I mean, I should have done that before I rolled for range, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, they flee. So it about faces and flees 2d6, 6 inches. That's pretty bad for the handgunners. But they turn that way and they flee 6 inches to there, but they have to clear the unit. So to there. And because they just fled through the archers, they need to test for panic as... Oh, that went underneath it. Come back. Oh, no. Yeah, these shouldn't snap, really. Anyway, yes, the archers have to test as well. They are also on their own, testing on a 7 as well. They are steadfast. They are solid. Anyway, I need to remember which dice I rolled for the charge range. I think it was the 4 and the 5. Yeah, because there was the wound, and then it was how many hits, and then it was the new turn. So yes, it was the 4 and the 5. So they have a charge range of 9, so they can redirect their charge at the archers instead. So to redirect the charge, they have to do a leadership test, and if they pass that, they can redirect. So the Stonehorn is testing on a 7, passes, so they can redirect. So they are going to redirect at the archers. This counts as a new charge, and normally this would mean that the one they charge would have to test for the terror, but because the archers have already passed a panic test, they do not need to test again. You only test once per phase. So the 9 they rolled, plus their movement of 7, they are within that easily, so I believe he's also within the front arc. Yeah, he is, quite obviously. So the Stonehorn charges in, and the archers form up in order to face it. So that charges in and then closes the door, like so. It's also worth noting I do need to keep track of charge range, because ogres have something called ogre charge, and with these, if the 2 highest dice you rolled for the charge total 10 or more, then they get additional impact hits. So the Stonehorn has something like that, but rolled a 9 in total, so they don't get any bonus. Here, the ogres are going to charge at the halberdiers, so although they are actually within the minimum, they're 8.1s, they'd need to roll. I suppose they'd need to roll a 3. But yes, it is worth rolling as well, because if they get 10, which they don't, they would get a bonus. But the ogres do charge in here. Unfortunately, the field makes it a little hard to actually see the combat resolution thing, so I'm going to have to put it at the edge like that. And the Iron Guts, they have a choice. They can charge the Spearmen, which would prompt a counter charge by the Halberdiers and also are defending a wall, or they can charge the Halberdiers, who are not technically defending a wall and cannot be counter-charged by the Spearmen. So they will still have to deal with the Spearmen next turn, but the Spearmen can't actually flank charge them if there isn't space. So the Iron Guts, come on. The Iron Guts are going to charge the Halberdiers. They are within minimum. So rolling just in case. Nope, 6. That was just in case they get Ogre Charge. So yeah, they do technically cross the barrier, and the obstacle has no meaning unless it's being defended like it is here. So here it will actually have an effect, the charging unit has -1 to hit in the first turn. But here, no effect because they're technically not defending the barrier. And then the Mournfangs are 14 inches away. They have a movement of 8. So 6 on 3 dice because of Swift Stride, so they are definitely going for that as well. They get it, but they also don't get a bloody ogre charge bonus, but that's fine. So they go charging in to the Flagellants because they can't hit the greatswords. So that was a whole lot of charges. This could be this could be bloody this turn. Cag is going to Cag is sort of realised he's a bit of a lemon in the middle here. Not that Cag knows what a lemon is. So Cag is going to move over this way 6 inches and then march just to get... no, Cag's probably fine there. Like, he's not going to get charged there. That's a really weird angle for them. Theoretically possible, though, so yeah, he is going to move over just a little bit. Can he still see them? Yeah, he can still draw line of sight to them quite comfortably. So he's going to pivot a little that way, just in case. And the Iron Blaster is going to move a smidge this way and then pivot so that it has a line of sight down to the greatswords. Magic. Ooh, 12. There is no point channeling for the ogres, as 12 is the maximum, but channeling 3 for Wissenland, none. Alright, Zod is actually now in battle, but could still do a Purple Sun if he wanted. Technically, magical vortexes and stuff can be cast from in combat, but I think I'm going to focus more on Cag. Let's start off with a Spine Marrow on the Mournfangs. I don't know if it's necessary, I'm just sort of hedging my bets, and I've got plenty of dice to play with. So I'm going to try and cast that on 2. He literally just needs to roll higher than a 2 to avoid a broken concentration, because he is +4 to his spell, so 12 total. And I think they're going to let that one through without contest, because it's probably not going to have much effect, if any, and they've got much more important things to try and resist, like a Bone Crusher. Increase the range. I'm fairly sure they're within 18. Yeah, they are. So, yeah, he's going to do a Bone Crusher on the Spearman. So, he needs an 8. I think he's going to use 2 dice again, because he can hit that on 2. 5 plus his 4, that's a 9. That one they will try and dispel. A 9, I reckon they can do that on... Realistically, they're going to have 2 dispellings out of this. What else is he going to do, though? Probably a Maw. A Maw could be really bad. I think they're going to let it through, because they're terrified of an upcast Maw going like right here, taking out Bodo, maybe another wizard, and a whole load of spearmen. I think that's going to do more damage than 2d6 strength 2 hits, even if there are no armor saves allowed. So yeah, they're going to let that through. So it does 8 hits. It's not got a particularly high chance to wound, but that is a lot. That's 5 wounds. No armor saves allowed, so that's just 5 spearmen just gone as their bones get crunched. Ogre magic is pretty brutal stuff. Essentially, the way ogre magic works, the way like the reason they name stuff like Bone Crusher, Tooth Cracker, Spine Marrow, the caster eats something which then causes a bad effect or a good effect sometimes. So something like Bone Crusher, he's literally eating bones and it's making other people's bones break. Ogre magic. And then when a spell from the lore is cast on a 2+, they regain a wound. I don't want to do this, but as far as I can tell, it's an every time thing, because I think the idea is that even if they haven't been hurt, what they eat can still hurt them. So basically, I don't want a 1 on this. Anything but a 1. Yeah. Alright, no effect then. Next, I'll go with a Tooth Cracker on the Iron Guts, again on 2 dice. So he needs a 4, which he gets, total of 11 with his level. The thing is, they're so aware that he's saving 6 dice for clearly the more. So I think they're going to let that through as well. Oh god, is it stupid for them to let so many spells through? They just really don't want the more to pass. Yeah, they're going to let that through, so the Iron Guts have +1 toughness. And what would sort of be funny is not to use the more now and just end my casting there, just to be like, you saved all your dice and nothing happened. But no, I think I kind of want to use the more. So it's on a 15 or a 21. If I'm casting with 6 dice, which I'd need to get it through, I may as well upcast it. So 21. To be honest, I'm a little hesitant to cast this because it scatters an artillery dice. So it can scatter up to 10 inches, and like the perfect place to aim it would be like right here. And within 10 inches, it could land right in the middle of one of my units. And that would be devastating. I mean, I suppose it's only a strength 3 hit. Oh no, it's a strength 3 hit if you pass the test. It's a strength 7 with multiple wounds if you fail. Yeah, I don't know that it's worth it. I think we're going to crush them in combat, and that is not worth literally rolling the dice and risking my ogres getting mauled. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I was laughing about how it would be funny to not do it after they didn't use their dispel dice, but yeah, screw you guys. I'm not gonna do it. Shooting. Now that the Stonehorn's in combat, we only have the Lead Belcher and the Iron Blaster. So let's go with the Iron Blaster first against the Great Swords. What's the range? Yep, too long to do a Grape Shot, sadly, which is because Grape Shot's amazing. There, that's 6 short of the unit. That's a good place. So the cannon overshoots by misfire. It has its own misfire chart. And the result is 5. Roll a scatter and turn to face the direction rolled, may not fire. Okay. So overall, could have been worse. Could have just fired. I suppose firing backwards would have no effect. But yeah, all it does is it just turns around. Cannot fire this turn. And the Lead Belchers are going to fire at the Great Swords as well. So they are within short range. So that's 5d6 shots. I don't know why I'm rolling them on this. 10, 17. 6 hit. Oh, they're slow to fire. You can't actually stand and shoot with them. Oh, if I'd known that, I probably would have just bloody tried to charge. I didn't notice that, sorry. 4 wound. They do still get an armor, but it's not enough. 4 great swords get shot apart. And now the moment we've been waiting for the long turn before this happened. It is time for the ogres to do what they do best. Hit things really, really hard. So all of these have impact hits. Where do I start? May as well start at one end and work our way down. So the thing with the Stonehorn is on the turn in which it charges, it doesn't actually make any attacks. Instead, it has earth-shattering charge. So you roll 3d6, that is the number of impact hits, and that's all it basically does in the first turn. So I'll use my handy-dandy D3 roller, 3 of these. So that is a total of 7 strength 6 hits. And the reason this is superior is impact hits automatically hit. So I don't need to roll to hit, I just roll to wound. And yeah, that is 6 dead guys immediately. The archers go next, so how many can fight? 9, because they're in diagonal. So 9 archers striking at them. Oh, sorry, I need to test for fear. So technically they didn't roll a terror, so they are testing their fear on 7, which they pass. Archer attacks. 4. Very low chance to hit. None. Oh, sorry, wound. None. The ogre riding the Stonehorn does still get to attack, so here's attacks. None. Wow. And then finally, the Stonehorn does still get to make its Thunderstomp attack. So that's d6 additional hits, 4 more free hits. I love the Stonehorn. It looks so cool. That's 3 1s. Are you kidding me? 1 more, whatever. 1 more wound. So I love the Stonehorn. It's really cool. I love the lore behind it, that basically as they get older, their skeleton literally turns to stone. And that's why they hit so hard, and they have the urge to just ram everything they encounter. So, that is all for the attacks. So the Stonehorn wins by 8. So that means the archers are testing on a double 1, and that is their only chance of not fleeing. Obviously they don't get it, actually remarkably close. So they flee. It has to pursue because it's got frenzy. So they flee 8 and it pursues 7. So they flee 8 here. So 8 this way. They just clip the cannon. So yeah, they flee off the board. So they're gone. The cannon immediately tests on 7, fails. And I believe if they panic, they just abandon it. Oh no, sorry. They just can't shoot in the next thing. So I didn't need to roll their distance. But yeah, sorry, they rolled an 8 to flee, and the Stonehorn rolled a 7 to pursue. So pursues. And in doing so, it actually charges into the handgunners, which are then run down because they weren't actually charged, so they can't make a charge reaction. So yeah, the handgunners are just gone as they get trampled or run down. So yeah, the Stonehorn just wiped out 2 units in 1 turn. And this would have to take a panic, but it has just taken one because it got fled through. So yeah, that's pretty devastating for a turn 2 charge. See why I thought it was worth the 3 wound sacrifice. I don't know if Norbert was actually within 6 inches. Bit late now. I'm just going to assume he wasn't. Right, next one. I was just double checking if you still get impact hits if you charge a defended obstacle, and it seems you do. I can't find anything that says that you don't. It seems that you don't in the old world, but this is 8th edition, and as far as I can tell, you do. So the way Ogre Charge works, each Ogre inflicts 1 impact hit, and the strength of it increases by 1 for each full rank. This may seem familiar to people who've been watching the campaign, because this is basically my cavalry impact rule, and yeah, it's because I got it from these guys, because they make charging feel impactful, and it makes sense that cavalry can do that too. The reason ogres are cool is that even their most basic guys, which is these guys, get that just as standard. So they have got 3 impact hits at +2 strength, which puts it up to strength 6. So that is, yep, 3 wounds, no chance of getting any armor saves against that. And while Krork would love to challenge, there are actually no champions. This is a detachment, so it's just straight into the combat itself, and the Halberdiers have a higher initiative. Except Krork, who has the same initiative. So Krork hits at the same time as the Halberdiers. I will do the Halberdiers first, so that is 10 Halberdiers. But first, I have to test for fear. They are using Rocco's one as they use the detachment's leadership. So they are testing on an 8 with a reroll. They pass. 10 halberdier attacks. 4. The +1 strength is instrumental here. So they have 2 wounds. Then again, that would have been 2 wounds regardless of the +1 strength. Although the ogres are wearing armor, it just goes straight through it because of the strength of the attacks. Why is he injured? Should he be injured? Oh, that was from the shooting. That was from the archers, wasn't it? So yeah, that's 1 dead and 1 more wound off that guy. So we have our first casualty. The ogres have -1 to hit, but Krork's attacks. Wow, none. Zod is there as well. 1 wound, and at that strength, just the ogre's base strength, it goes straight through the halberdier armor. They may as well be completely unarmored. And then there's the champion and 3 ogres, and monstrous infantry contribute up to 3 attacks with support. So that's still 13 ogre attacks. But with the -1 to hit, that is only 4. 2 wound, again, they go straight through because ogres have a base strength of 4, which is enough to just go through 6+ armor. And then after that, all ogres also have stomp. So they all inflict, well, the ones in contact inflict 1 free hit, which again is unaffected by the wall. So that is 3 additional strikes. I'll do Krork separately as he has a higher strength. So 2 hits, nope, and Krork. Yes, so that is 1 more wound. So after all of that, the ogres get 1 for a banner, who is in the 2nd rank because of how small the unit is, 2 for ranks. The halberdiers get 2 for ranks. However, they lose by 7, but they are still steadfast because their regimental unit, the spearmen, are unengaged. That's the word. So yeah, they're testing on an 8 with a reroll anyway, which they easily pass. So although they got absolutely crushed, and I'm sort of okay with this, because it keeps my ogres in combat for another turn, so they can't be shot at. And to be honest, the spearmen, there really isn't much they can do, because they can't charge either of these units, because they just can't get the turning circle, you know? I mean, theoretically, they could charge in here. Like, they could turn this way the little they can, but it's too narrow a gap, so they wouldn't be able to get much in contact. Next, we have Gloss, Wall Crushers, Iron Guts. And Wall Crusher, the way ogres work is they have what are called big names, which are basically just upgrades. And his Wall Crusher gives him +1 impact hit. So we have actually 4 impact hits at +2 strength. And although normally you would need to do like Glosses separately because he has a higher strength, it really doesn't matter when it's this high strength. It's a 2+ regardless, you know? So that is 4 wounds just from the impact hits. Again, no challenges to be made, but Gloss has the higher initiative. Oh, he also has Terror, which I forgot. So the Halberdiers had to test on an 8 with a reroll. This could be a problem if they fail. Oh no, they passed. Good. So that means they also do pass the fear that they would need to take. But yes, Gloss goes first, and he is wielding the Sword of Battle, which gives him +1 attack. So he actually has 6 attacks. Still only hit with 4 though. 4 wounds, and at that strength, which is strength 5, no armor. So that is 4 more Halberdiers. And then it is the Halberdiers as the Iron Guts are carrying great weapons, so 10 Halberdiers. And actually, what I probably should have done here, I forgot that these ones were technically only in contact with Krork. It's a bit late now for that one, but I'm going to have to do that here now that I've realised. So yeah, 2 Halberdiers against Gloss, and 8 against the unit. 8 against the unit, 7. And they do actually have +1 toughness, so they do still struggle to wound even with their +1 strength. But then, frickin' hell, 6 6s. No, 5 6s. Bloody hell. Well, they do still have an armour save, but 1 saved. Wow, 5 wounds. That is shocking. That is incredibly unlikely. So that is 1 Iron Gut just dead and 2 wounds off another. Wow. Even with the +1 toughness, that's incredible. 2 against Gloss. 1. No wound. And then it is 16 Iron Guts attacks. 10. They're great weapons, so they've got +2 strength. So that is 9 wounds. Oh, that is all but the front rank of that Halberdiers unit just wiped out in a single round of combat. 18. However, because of the spearmen being unengaged, they are still steadfast. So it's not even worth calculating the... No, let's do it just for the fun of it. So they get 1 for a banner, 2 for rank. So yeah, they win by 16. And yet they're still testing on an 8 with a reroll. Because detachments, they pass with flying colours, even though they have been mulched. And then the final charge, we have the Mournfangs against the Flagellants. And each of these inflicts D3 impact hits, so that's 3d3 impact hits, but they don't get the +1 strength because Monstrous Cavalry, they've got so much of their own stuff going on, they don't need the bonus of like the +1 strength, in my eyes. So that is 6 impact hits. Sorry, I have just remembered I didn't do the stomps here, so I should do those now, because it could kill off some more Halberdiers. Still not going to be able to break them, but it might kill more. 2 Iron Guts, 2 wounds, and Gloss, yeah. So that's 3 more Halberdiers dead. Just, you know, because I didn't think I'd killed enough. You know, I just realised I could just stomp on them a bit too. Anyway, sorry, 3d6, 6 impact hits. I'm glad I wrote that down. I would have forgotten. Bloody 2+ to wound, so that is 6 wounds, and Flagellants don't wear armour, so that is 6 Flagellants dead. However, Flagellants are nuts, and at the beginning of each combat they take d6 strength 3 hits as they whip themselves. So they take 5 strength 3 hits, resulting in 2 wounds, so that's 2 more Flagellants. Doesn't count for combat resolution, but that means that this turn they reroll to hit and to wound. Yeah, so the Flagellants go first, but there is a champion, so we're going to have a challenge. They are unbreakable, so that means they automatically pass the fear test. And the champion has 3 attacks. The flagellant goes first. No hits at all. Gets to reroll to hit. So that's 2. And in the first round of combat has +2 strength from his flail, resulting in 2 wounds. However, they normally have a 2+ armor save, so even with the +2 strength, that's still a pretty decent armor save. Both are saved, wow. Oh yeah, reroll to wound as well, so nope, fails on the reroll. And now the Ogre champion strikes back with 4, 2, 1 wound, and that is enough to kill him, but technically the Mournfang also attacks at the same initiative level, so that's 1 wound, and there is a chance there can be some overkill here. So the Mournfang attacks. 2. And 2 more wounds. So although the Flagellant champion only has 1, the overkill means it does 3. So the Flagellant champion is dead. Not that it really matters because they're unbreakable, so as long as the Mournfangs don't lose the combat, then that's sort of the end of it. That's why I went with them being stubborn, because, yeah, they need to hold on, because they're going to have to grind the Flagellants into paste. And then as the ones with Frenzy at the front get an extra attack, that is 13 Flagellant attacks against the Mournfangs. 9, rerolled to a total of 11. 6 wounds, rerolled to 10. Still get their armor, only 2 failed, so all in all, 2 wounds against the Mournfang. I keep saying Moonfang, because the cavalry get to contribute 3 as well. That is 15 Mournfang Ogre attacks. 6. 3 wound. And the Mournfangs contribute another 4 attacks each, but they don't get to support. Mounts can't support, so that's 8 more Mournfang attacks. 3. And here's the reason I don't give them the +1 for the impact hits, because the Mournfangs actually have a higher strength than the Ogres, so they wound on a 2+. So that's 3 more wounds. And then the 2 Mournfangs in contact get to make a stomp attack, because the champion can't, because he was in the challenge. So 2 stomps, just basically just 2 more wounds on a 2+, so that's, yeah. That's all but 10 Flagellants died in the fight. Bloody hell. I love the Ogres. Like, genuinely, they are one of my favourite armies in fantasy, just because they're just so tanky. Look at all of this. So, they have a banner and a rank. They have a rank. So, yeah, the Ogres win by 17. But the Flagellants are unbreakable, so nothing happens. Remarkable, really. Like, aside from here, basically the one unsupported part just crumpled. But the other bits, the bits that sort of work with more synergy, they're dying horribly, but they're staying in the fight, which is incredible. And we go into Wissenland Turn 2. That was awkward. I just recorded 5 minutes of this without actually pressing record. Welp, let's just speed through what I did. I didn't do that much, you know, in classic me style in this, although I did replace all of these. Whoops, hang on. Okay, now that we have fresh combat resolution tokens, first thing I did was charge the great swords in. I did check whether they were in the flank or the front, and they are in the front, so they charge there. Next, I gave a lesson on closing the door, which is a thing in charging when you... I'll show you again. By which I mean I'll show you for the first time because no one was looking the first time, right? So like, say they charged here, technically they are in contact, hang on, there, technically they are in contact, but they need to what's called close the door, which is align the bases. And if they can't close the door for whatever reason, the charge fails. And this is important because although either side can do that, they can close the door on either side, I don't know how it works with this, because if they charge here, if they charge the bulls, then the bulls can't close the door because, well, I don't think that the halberdiers can turn. So basically, to close the door, the bulls would have to turn to like this sort of angle, which would mean the spearmen are turning to that sort of angle. And it just seems weird and doesn't make sense. I don't think it should move other units. Whereas charging like the Ogre's front Bodo is in the way because he is too close, so they actually can't go in this space. Charging this one, they have the same issue where Bodo's in the way. Even if they can't charge the front of this unit because they are definitively in the flank. More of the unit is in the flank than the front, so they do charge the flank. Again, they can't shift this unit, but they can't go in this way because there isn't space across and Bodo's in the way for them to charge it at all. So basically, the spearmen are stuck. They can't charge. They were too threatening a thing and they were just ignored for the two halberdiers. Because the original plan of this, by the way, was ogres would charge it, or someone would charge it, spearmen would receive the charge, and then the halberdiers would countercharge. What they didn't expect was literally everything else on the board being charged and not the spearmen. And I don't know if that's a tactical fumble on Wissenland's side or tactical genius on the Solland side. I really don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. But just to clarify, I don't plan more than like one move ahead in this because I want each side to react to what the other one does. You know, planning more than that ahead makes it seem like I have like a plan of how I want the game to go. And I don't. I play this as it, you know, to quote Sooty and Sweep, you play the ball from where it lands. I don't know if anyone's going to get that reference. I'll see if I can find a clip. Anyway, thing from my childhood, doesn't matter. Right, so the point is, yeah, I can't get the spearmen to charge legally, so they can't. So what, and this is where I realised that I wasn't recording, and it's taken me about as long to go through it all again, I am going to reform this unit. Because I cannot think of any other way to have them be relevant to this battle. Bizarrely. So yes, I'm just going to reform them so that they turn 90 degrees. Nope, I just picked them all up off the board, hang on. They've turned 90 degrees, so this Bodo is fine here because there's actually no model here, you know, it's just the movement tray. Because this unit is much more likely to fail than this one is. This one is holding up reasonably well, this one is not. So it is much more likely that the spearmen will get to do something facing this way. That said, we have got the Stonehorn. Like, Wissenland is in a really bad state so early, it's only turn 2. And just the ferocity of the ogre charge, I wasn't expecting it. I've never played an ogre game on this scale before. And yeah, the ogre charge is devastating. Anyway, let's get on with it. So, we did a charge here, we did a movement here. We don't test for panic for those. Anyone else moving? Yes, I think these guys should move. So they're going to wheel 1 and then move 3 forwards so that they can still shoot. Magic, 10. Actually, sorry, I've forgot my wizards. I always seem to forget the wizards these days. So I'm going to move Seeger, oh god, 4 inches this way. It feels like he's getting in the way of something there. Bodo is going to move 3 this way, and then let's go with 3 this way as well. And Norbert is going to move 4 this way as well. He's keeping up with everything else. Have I got them facing the way I want them to? Aspect of the Dread Knight on Seeger. That's really bloody helpful. Occam's Mind Razor. That might actually be a really good idea to use. Okay. Alright, I think that's the best chance then. Let's have Norbert facing that way. I've got a Pit of Shades here, but I need to make sure that goes through. Oh god, he's going to have a hard time even if I do it on 6. Is there anything else I can cast first? Let's go with a Soul Blight on the Mournfang Cavalry. Soul Blight, so that's on a 9, doesn't need... Oh no, can upcast it to target all within 24, which is every enemy on the board. So that is actually a very tempting thing to do. I kind of think I need to do that. Reducing their strength and toughness by 1, that is going to have an effect. So that needs an 18. So let's go with 5 dice on that. And this is Bodo. So plus the 4 is a 21. That is enough to cast Soul Blight. Well, with 5 dice left and 6 to dispel, they can only dispel one of these 2 spells. They don't know what the second one is. Like, I've decided it's going to be Pit of Shades, but I don't know that yet. Trickiness of playing against oneself, you know. Anyway, yeah, there's no way they could know that for sure. Could they reason it out? Probably not, because there are lots of other things that could be played. I mean, direct damage can't be cast into combat. So technically, stuff like Caress and then again, Occam's Mind Razor would be a good one, especially with the reduced toughness. Yeah, I'm going to say that they should go for that one, go for this one to get rid of the Soul Blight, because all ogres having -1 strength and toughness, that is going to severely impact their survivability and damage, especially with like the great swords now joining the fray. So yeah, we're going to go with 6 to dispel that. And that is dispelled with a 24. And that does leave 5 dice for Norbert to cast Pit of Shades. So this places a small template scattering d6, and then all models hit must pass an initiative test or be removed. And you can see why he's turned towards this thing. I suppose that would help them reason it out, that Norbert is facing that, and there's not many other things he could do. But yeah, it's a bit of a gamble. No guarantees by any means that this will work, but it could kill the Stonehorn, and that's their best chance of getting rid of that. So that's cast. Got 22 in total, and he needed 14. He didn't upcast it because he only wants to hit one model. So, aiming it right there. So it scatters d6 inches, and it is going 5 inches that way, so it may miss entirely. It is missing entirely. It has missed entirely. Has it? Oh, yeah, it has. I do it by the top of the base, not the edges of the base. So yeah, damn, that would have been, I mean, devastating because I love the Stonehorn, but it would have been a very good move had it worked. Shooting the Huntsman, they could go for the Iron Blaster, which to be honest has no targets left, or the Lead Belcher, which has lots of targets, well, these targets. So yeah, let's go for the Lead Belchers. Are they all within the front arc? Yes. These 2 have it within half range. The others are at long range. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I misremembered the skirmishers rule. I thought that meant they didn't have the -1 for the move and shoot. But it's actually they can march and shoot. So in that case, sorry, I'm just going to very quickly do this. I'm going to pivot them another 2 and then move them 2 further forward. Because, yeah, I misremembered the rule, I've just looked it up, but yeah, this means that they are all now within short range. Champion, hit. Everybody else, 3, total of 4. Oh, damn, sorry, they have a -2 because it's hardcover. I forgot that's how it works. So the champion still hits, he would have needed a 6, but everyone else needs a 7, so none of the other ones hit. But that's a wound. And they fail their armor, so that is another wound on a Lead Belcher. Very, very slowly killing 1 Lead Belcher. I think these Huntsmen were a good investment. But they are about to be showered by a load more fire. So the handgunners are going to shoot them. They are also all within short range, but only 5 can shoot. Hard cover, so they're only hitting on 6s. 1. But that is a wound, and the strength and armor piercing go through the armor, so 1 Lead Belcher dies. That is the 3rd ogre we have killed so far, and they have killed all of these. Next, the Hellblaster, because there are so few targets. There is literally no other targets for any of these range things. The Hellblaster is going to go for the church as well. Roll the 3. Oh, so that is halved, so 16 halved to 8 shots. Again, hard cover reduces the chance, so 1 hit. But a wound, and again, no armor to protect them. Well, they do have light armor, but it's not enough. So that is another wound. The cannon. Theoretically, the cannon can see the Stonehorn. Dun, 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 dun. Is it within range? I assume it is. It's 48 range. Yes, it is. Alright then. Let's shoot the Stonehorn. Try and pit it in a shit. I had completely forgotten that this cannon was here and that the cannon could see it. So let's see. How far is that? That's 5. 6.6. That seems like a good distance. The cannon overshoots by. Misfire! Did you see that? The dice just sort of teetered and it's just like, yeah. And the misfire result is 1. I'm not favouring the ogres, sorry. They are just getting incredibly lucky as the cannon. I'm going to say that the cannon doesn't explode in this case. I'm feeling generous. The cannon just sort of backs up and just the back end just flies off. So the cannon cannot be fired, and the 3 guys, except maybe the guy at the back who probably might have got it full on in the face, they just sort of awkwardly wheel the cannon away. So yeah, effectively, cannon is gone. And then this cannon cannot fire this turn, so bloody good try, mate. Order of combat. Normally I do the enemy general first, but the enemy general is definitely going to win, so I don't want to give him a chance to charge anything else. So we will start here with Krork against the halberdiers. The stone wall -1 to hit modifier only takes place in the first round, so we are just on normal chance to hit. Krork hits at the same time as the halberdiers, so I will do the halberdiers first, 10 of them. Testing their fear on a 7, I believe with a reroll that they don't need, never mind. 6 hit. Their +1 strength means they have an even chance to wound, 3 wounds. And that goes through the little armor they have. So that is 3 wounds inflicted. So 2 on that guy, and I'm going to have to pull him out so that I can see the thing to inflict the 3rd. Well, that was good for them. Goodbye, halberdiers. Krork first. Only 1. But that's a wound, and their meager armor does nothing. Sorry, I've just realised those 3 wounds would not have gone against the bloody unit. I did it again. I forgot that Zod and Krork were here. So actually only 6 of them would have been against the ogres, and then a total of 9 would have been against these 2. I really feel like I should redo that, because I think that can make a difference. Sorry, I meant 4 and 6, not 6 and 9. I'm used to hordes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll the ones against the characters, and we'll see if they get any wounds at all. Against Zod, they get none. Against Krork, they get 2. And then against the rest of the unit, they get 1. So yeah, that's 3 wounds overall. So I'm going to count that. Sorry, that was a bit messy. The ordinary ogres don't get a save, but Krork does, because he's wearing heavy armor and carrying an iron fist. So he has a 4+ normally. So he gets his 2 armor, passes 1, fails 1. So they actually only inflict 1 wound on the ogres, which is not enough to kill this guy, because he had 2 wounds left. So he loses 1, and this guy goes back up to full. And then Krork loses a wound. Can I reach it in there? There it is. Nice one. How many does he have normally? I can't tell. I think it's 4. Yeah, it's 4. So yeah, Krork has lost a wound. Anyway, did I do Zod's attacks? Oh god, I don't remember. No, I did not do Zod's attacks, so Zod gets 1 hit and a wound, and again, goes straight through armor. 13 Ogre Bull attacks. 6. 3 wound, goes straight through armor. So yeah, this unit is doing a lot better. I don't know what makes the difference here. Like, I don't know why this unit is holding on. Like, the main difference with the Iron Guts is that they have the great weapons and the better armor. But in this case, you know, I don't know why they're just shredding so much. Oh, I suppose Gloss is there as well. He's pretty good. Oh, yeah, it could be the impact hits made more of an effect there. Anyway, so the Halberdiers get 1 for rank. The Ogres get 2 for rank. 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard. They win by 6. However, they are still within 3. And the 3 do still have more ranks, so they are still steadfast. Actually, it's just because I think they're unengaged. I don't think the ranks matter. So yes, the halberdiers are steadfast, so they are testing on Rocco's 8 with a reroll. Pass. Next, we'll skip down to here with the flagellants and the greatswords against the Mournfang. So first of all, we have the flagellants flagellating themselves furiously, as is their way. So they take a d6 strength 3 hits against themselves. 3, inflicting 1 wound. So they reroll to hit this turn. Sorry, I did actually forget stomping. I completely forgot that these guys stomp. I will do that very quickly. Zod and the champion, 1. Krork, another 1. So that is 2 more wounds, but doesn't make a difference to the combat resolution because they were still steadfast regardless. Next is fear before we do anything else, and testing on... Oh wow, flagellants don't have to test because they are unbreakable. Actually, Harold doesn't have to test because he has terror, so actually he inflicts fear on the Mournfangs. So they're testing on a 7 with no reroll. They pass. Okay. And now Harold will challenge, because that is something he's pretty good at. So that will be accepted by the Mournfang champion. So just shuffle everybody over so that he can fight Harold's attacks. 2. And he is wielding the Giant Blade, which gives him +3 strength. This is why he is the Giant Slayer. So he's got... Oh, only 1 wound. He had a decent chance of doing a whole load of damage there, but only inflicts 1 wound. Champion attacks back. 1 wound. Gets an armor. Passes. Mournfang attacks. 2. 2 wounds. Armor. Both passed. Bloody hell. So overall, no wounds on either side. Oh no, 1 wound against the Mournfang, sorry. But apart from that. Now the Great Swords go last because they have great weapons, so it is the Flagellants, 9 Flagellants. And they lost the previous round of combat, so they no longer have Frenzy. 4. With their reroll, that's up to 7. 4 wounds, but they don't have their flails in subsequent rounds of combat. That is still... Oh no, sorry, those are saves. I thought that was 4 wounds. No, that was 4 armor saves, so no wounds against the Mournfangs. And now it is these 4 against the Flagellants, and this one can go against either the Flagellants or the Great Swords, and I think he's going to go for the Great Swords. 12 Ogre attacks against the Flagellants. 5. 2 wounds, that's poor. 8 Mournfang attacks against the Flagellants. 4. It's crazy that the Mournfang are so much more dangerous than the Ogres. 4 more wounds. And I did forget to stomp here with the champion. So the champion's Mournfang is stomping on Harold. That's a wound. No save. He does, however, have a ward save. So his ward save fails. So Harold does actually take a wound after all from being stomped on by a Mournfang, which is essentially a giant, massively tusked saber-toothed cat monster, by the way. Large enough and strong enough to carry an ogre on his back, just to let you know what this is. The models are huge. 3 ogre attacks against the Great Swords. 1 wound, not saved. So that is 1 Great Sword dead, but the Mournfangs can't attack that because the mounts can only attack in contact, and there is the champion who is in the way. So that is it for the Mournfang side. And now we have 1, 2, 3 Great Swords against the Mournfang, because I ignore challenges and just assume they're part of the unit. 2 hit. Great Swords are +2 strength, so that is 1 wound. Do still get an armor, which they fail. So that is 1 more wound and a Mournfang cavalry dies. However, now they stomp, so the 2 Mournfang can stomp on Flagellants, resulting in only 1 wound. What horrendous rolls. But yes, so they get 1 for the kill, and they get 1 for the stomp. Where did I just get this halberdier from? Did I just take that off the wrong unit? I think I did. Yeah, oh, we haven't done that fight yet. So yeah, Flagellant. I just suddenly was like, why am I holding a halberdier? So... here they get 1 for their banner. This side gets 1 for their banner, 3 for rank. So the overall, the Great Swords only lose, or the Imperial side, Wissenland, that's what they're called, lose by 3. However, oh, hang on, no, they are still stubborn. Yeah, however, they are also stubborn, the Great Swords, so they don't take combat resolution into effect, and they're just rolling on Harold's 9, which they pass because of... oh, they would roll 3 anyway because he's a general. but that doesn't matter. And then this one, Gloss Wall Crusher and his Iron Guts against 2 Halberdiers, one of whom was just ready to pretend to be a flagellant to try and escape. Testing their fear on a 7, they pass. Gloss's attacks, he may just wipe them all out. 4, I think he's about to wipe them out because all he needs is 2. Yeah, okay. Gloss just killed them on his own. Then probably 8-1 because ogres, that's what they do. So yeah, that fight was over very quickly. They are then going to... God, what are they going to do? If they... Yeah, well, they've got to reform because it was the second round, so... Yeah, they're going to reform to face... Oh, they can't quite reform fully, so they're going to face there. So that they can now charge. Assuming that they can fit inside of it, which I think they can. 5.3, yeah, they can. Alright, so as we're about to go into the Ogre turn, but before that, a unit was just wiped out, so every unit within 6 inches, which is just the Spearman, has to test for Panic. So the Spearmen, they are testing on Rocco's 8 with a reroll. They pass. And we go into Solland Turn 3. First of all, the Stonehorn has Frenzy and is going to charge the cannon, both because it's right there, and because if he doesn't, then he's just going to get shot in the back. And this way he can just wipe out the last cannon, so he's going to charge them. I mean, technically they do have to take a terror test, but I don't think they flee. I mean, they pass anyway. So I don't think they would flee. I think it just goes into the panic mode like it went before. But yes. So they easily get charged because he's right there. I will roll just for the impact, just in case. Nope, total of 4, so it's not affected by the increased impact hits. But yeah, they are definitely going to die. Over here, the Iron Guts are also going to charge because they're right there. And very unfortunate that they're being charged, but better they're charged in the front than the flank. So this was going to happen anyway. So again, I'll roll just in case they get the bonus from Ogre Charge, which they don't because I'm rolling terribly for charge distance. But nonetheless, oh, I forgot they had +1 toughness. Oh well, they don't now. So yes, they charge in and just spin round to settle in nicely on this side of the wall. Oh, but as I do, I have remembered this time that Gloss has Terror, because he is wearing the Gut Maw, which is a special magic armor that is just apparently terrifying. I'm I'm suddenly picturing, what's it called? Nightmare Fredbear or from FNAF 4? God. Yeah, Gut Maw. Anyway, so they do have to test. They're testing on 8 with a reroll to see if they flee from the charge, which they don't. They are solid. And the only other thing is the Iron Blaster is going to turn that way because it has nothing else to shoot at. So, sorry, Huntsman. Is it within 12? Oh, it is as well. That's really bad for them. Anyway, Cag is going to move 6 this way so that he stays safely out of line of sight of anything nasty. Oh, and I think the Mournfangs would have reformed from victory to shuffle over a bit as well. Oh, yeah, we're going to struggle with this, aren't we? Yeah, that'll do. Just, I can't get any close to this thing because of the base. But yeah, they've shuffled over a bit so that they are within... Actually, no. Screw it, I don't need the base. There are literally 6 models here, 5 models here. So yeah, I'm going to shuffle them over a little bit more, like so. So that they are in the best possible place to fight as many things as possible. Magic. 4. Not much. 2 on the Ogres. Nope. 3 on the Wissenland. Nope. I think we'll start with a Toothcracker on the Mournfangs. So that's an 8. Oh, I can upcast it for 16 to target everything within 12, which is everything in combat here. That is tempting. Not really necessary, but I suppose it could be nice. The Mournfangs definitely need it. So how many? Oh no, I've only got 4 dice. Forgot that. Yeah, alright, I'm just gonna cast it on the basic on 4 dice on the Mournfangs. Better to guarantee that. So that, yeah, I'm very glad I did. So that's, with his level, that is a total of 14. So that would have just cast the up... No, wouldn't have cast the upcast. But yes, I cast it on the basic one. So they may as well just use their 3 dice to try and dispel with the +4. 12. So it passes. The Mournfangs have +1 toughness. And because that is cast, I need to roll for Blood Gruel. So on a 1, he takes a hit. He takes a hit! Okay, so Cag takes a Strength 6 hit, resulting in a wound. He has no armor, so he takes a wound. Good job, Cag. Shooting, let's go with the Lead Belchers first. So they could shoot back at the handgunners within short range, or they could shoot at the volley gun at long range. I mean, it's only a Strength 4. I think they'd struggle to wound the volley gun, but that is also a much bigger threat. Alright, let's go for the handgunners. So they are within short range. They're just, but they are also in a house, so they are in hard cover. 5d6 shots, because 5 of them can shoot. A total of 21 shots. Not bad. 1. Sorry, that was supposed to be 10. Ignore the last dice it rolled, which is this one here. Unfortunately, that is one of the 2 6s. But yeah, 2 hits out of 21. Pretty poor for a 1 in 6. But if either of these is a 3, that is just 2 handgunners did. Sadly, not quite enough to test for panic. But then here, the Iron Blaster gets to do one of the most fun things it can do, which is Massive Grape Shot, which is just grape shot, so it's an artillery dice of shots, but at strength 10. And it's so fun. I love the Iron Blaster. I've mentioned this a couple of times. I really enjoy the Ogres. So let's go with an artillery dice of shots. Misfire. I mean, that... Okay, it didn't roll, but it did spawn the dice on a random side, so sure, it misfires. You know, I think something might be wrong with this cannon because that's the second misfire in as many turns. So it gets 4. Squelch. May not fire this turn or next turn. Grand job. But back to where the Ogres excel. So we should probably start with the one that is going to have the most lasting effect. But I want to start with the Stonehorn. So it does 3d3 impact hits. A total of 7. I decided in the previous game that impact hits are against the machine, not against the crew. So it doesn't actually have a massive chance to wound. But 2 wounds, which is pretty damning from the get-go, as that's 2 crew gone. If I recall correctly, they did actually pass their terror, so it is just straight to the one guy trying to hit, which he does. And he wounds it, miraculously. If this one crew member does a wound here, it does. I cannot believe that. A bloody crewman from a great cannon has wounded the Stonehorn. He's just covering his ears. I mean, I'm going to treat this as he's firing the cannon point blank range and manages to get a glancing hit, because there is literally no other way this guy could have hurt this thing, because it has a 4+ armor save. I probably should have mentioned that. The Ogre Rider gets his attacks, 2, and these are against the crew, so yeah, he's dead. He got one, he got a terrified, panicked shot off, and then just died. And I believe if you wipe them out, you can then just reform even if you have frenzies. So yeah, he's reforming that way. Ready for next turn. And now we should do the Spearman, because although it's got gloss in it and I like to do the one with your general in last, Rocco is the linchpin holding the halberdiers for a start. But yeah, the Rocco is the linchpin here. So gloss is, well, first of all, they get their impact hits, so they are 3 impact hits at +2 strength, but Gloss, because he has Wall Crusher, inflicts 1 extra impact hit, so that is 4 impact hits at +2 strength. All of these are just wounding on a 2+. Yeah, and the Spearmen have no chance of having armor against that. Now, Gloss will challenge, which Rocco, to be honest, is a bit terrified of accepting. So they did past their terror so that they're not affected by fear in this round. But yeah, he doesn't have... He's not really designed for combat, Rocco. He's a support champion, a support character. So yeah, the Spearman champion is going to accept on Rocco's behalf. So very, very brave of him to stand up to Gloss Wallcrusher, the guy with a mouth on his stomach. Gloss has 6 attacks and does go first, so 4 hit. And 4 wounds, no armor. I actually had to check how much overkill goes to. Turns out it goes to +5. So they get credit for all 4 wounds, despite just mercilessly killing one guy. And I'm going to put that down to, he ate him! Yeah! But because Gloss was so quick, a spearman can fill the rank, and now the actual combat, and everybody else goes before the Iron Guts. Rocco has 3 attacks. Oh, none hit. Yeah, he's just fixedly watching Gloss eat the Spearman champion that was stood where he was just moments ago. Might not have even been a fight. The Spearman, like, steps over, and then you don't want to know what the sounds it was. As the Spearmen were charged, they can use an additional rank, and they are also a horde, because they have reformed into a horde formation. We don't need that anymore, they're dead. 25 Spearmen, literally everything over here. And it's just these 9 who can't take part. So yeah, 25 Spearmen are hitting the Iron Guts. 5. 9 total, that's not great. 4 wounds. They get an armor, which only 1 passes, so that is 3 wounds, and 1 Iron Gut dead, and another 2 off the next guy, making that the 5th casualty on the Ogre side so far. And now the Iron Guts get to strike back, with a total of 16 attacks, including the champion. 8, and yeah, any of these are just going to be a kill, so 7 wounds. That was pretty devastating. So the Ogres get 1 for a banner, 1 for a rank, and the Spearmen get 1 for the banner, 1 for the battle standard, and they get 2 for rank. However, Rocco is carrying the Griffin banner, Griffin standard, which is double rank bonus for combat resolution. So that goes up to 4. It's not even close to enough. They still lose by 8. But they do have more ranks. They have 3 ranks against 2 for the Ogres, so they are still steadfast. Bloody lucky for them, because this match would be over if they weren't. Testing on Rocco's 8, they do actually get 3 dice, which I forgot, and they had a reroll anyway, so they were definitely going to pass that. Next is Krork and the Halberdiers. Testing on 8 with a reroll for their fear, they pass, because everyone is incredibly brave in this game. And again, because the characters are taking up too much of the front row, we're going to have 1 against Zod, 4 against Krork, and 3 against the unit. Against Zod, nothing. Against Krork, 3. But no wounds. Against the unit, 1. But a wound goes through the armor that they have, so the bad guy dies. Next it's all the Ogres. Oh, sorry. Again, I forgot to stomp. Did I? I think I did forget to stomp. Yeah. Gloss doesn't get to stomp because the guy he's killing is already dead by the time he stomps. But 2 stomps against the unit, which is 2 more wounds against the Spearman. So, sorry, I did forget about that. Krork attacks. 3. 3 wounds, no saves. Zod attacks. 1. Wound, no save. 13 Ogre attacks. 6. 1 wound, no save. And then to wrap it up, Krork and only 1 Ogre can stomp because Zod is no longer in base contact. Ogre stomp, wound, Krork stomp, no wound. So that is 1 more wound, 1 more Halberdier, leaving just 2 of the poor gits left. Ogres get 1 for the banner, 2 for rank. Halberdiers get absolutely sweet FA. They are still within range, and 3 ranks versus 3 ranks. I need to double check the rules. Okay, by the wording, it says if the regimental unit, which is the Spearman, is either not engaged in combat or is engaged in combat and is steadfast, then so is the detachment. If the spearmen were against the ogre bulls, they wouldn't be, but technically they are in combat and they are steadfast. So are the halberdiers, by my interpretation of the rules. So they are testing on an 8 with a reroll because of Rocco. And they pass. And then down here, first of all, the flagellants are probably all about to die as they inflict d6 strength 3 hits on themselves. 5, yeah, this is going to be the end of the flagellants because they're just going to kill themselves on a 4. 2, yep, that is the last 2 flagellants left. So all the flagellants are gone, leaving just the greatswords. So the challenge continues. I did actually shift them over, so Harold is going to follow them. Testing the Ogre's Fear on 7. Ooh, the Ogres actually fail. And I don't think... No, they're not within range of Krork. So they are actually afraid. So the Ogres have 1 weapon skill this turn. Harold's attacks, 1. And although they do have +1 toughness, he's still wounding on a 2+, so that's 1 wound. They get an armor. And I don't remember if I actually gave them the parry last time, but they do also, the Iron Fist technically counts as a shield, so, well, the Iron Fist gives them a parry, so he gets a parry save. But yeah, they fail anyway, so that is 1 more wound on the champion. 4 champion attacks back to hit, even though he's got weapon skill 1. No wounds. Mournfang attacks, no hits. And I'll do it now, they do still get to stomp, which is a free hit, so I don't need to roll to hit. And it does a wound. Armor. Saved. He's alright. Rest of the unit, the Mournfangs are attacking the greatswords. I think I misunderstood fear, because it's not done on a unit by unit basis, like Panic or something is. It's on a model by model basis. So essentially, I do still have to test the greatswords for fear, because they're in contact with the Mournfang who inflict fear, even though the Mournfangs themselves are afraid of Harold. It's just that Harold is immune to their fear effect and causes it, but like they do still, the greatswords do still have to test. And in this case, they don't get to use Harold's one because it's not the unit testing, it's just them. And because of his terrifying Mask of E, they can't use his. So they are testing on an 8. Maybe with a reroll, I'll have to... No, they don't need it. Never mind. Moot point. 12 Mournfang cavalry attacks against the greatswords. And I've just noticed a typo. It says Mournfang cavalry. Even with the fear they're under, 6 hit. 6 wounds. Oh, and all of them failed their armor save. So that is 6 greatswords dead. Then 8 Mournfang monster attacks. 2 wound. And, oh, 1 actually, that's a cocked dice, but it counts as a 6 apparently, so that is 1 save and 1 more dead. 10 greatsword attacks because the champion. 7. 6 wound. 4 pass their armor, but 2 fail. So that is not quite enough to kill another 1. Mournfang get 1 for their banner, the greatswords get 1 for their banner, and 3 for rank. So the Mournfang do still win by 1, but the greatswords are stubborn, and they're testing on Harold's 9 with his hold or whatever it's called. Yeah, they pass. So hold the line, I think it is. So overall, a lot less movement in that turn than I expected. Only the Stonehorn actually won, like, definitively smashed his combat. I mean, the others are, you know, this combat isn't going to last much longer, but it has lasted a lot longer than I expected. As we go into Wissenland Turn 3. And there really isn't a great deal of movement to do, if any. Like, I guess Bodo, they're going to continue moving away from the Ogre Bulls. They do get another turn to try and Pit of Shades the Stonehorn, but they don't have a lot of options here. So Seeger is going to move to there. I think I do know what I can do with him, though. Bodo is going to move over here so that he's not within 6 inches of this unit that is probably about to break. So he's going to move a little further. But he also doesn't want to be within the Mournfang's overrun. Is he far enough? He is. So yeah, he's just taking a sneaky little retreat over there. Magic. 2. Bloody 2. What can I do with 2? Channeling Ogres. None. Channeling Wissenland. None. I was planning on casting Aspect of the Dreadnought on these guys. I mean, the best I can do, I suppose, is make them immune to the fear, but they've been passing it anyway because they've got an 8 and a reroll. Oh, God, what can I do then? Pit of Shades? I don't think I actually can cast that. I would need to roll a double 6 to cast it, which is just inviting trouble. Alright, we're going to have to go for a Soul Blight. A Soul Blight normal casting on Gloss's unit, I think, is the only bloody option. Like the Mournfang, I mean, it could. I suppose it's Harold's unit, and if these guys with the great swords come out of this doing well, then that's the best chance. But at the same time, if either of these units fall, we're in a world of hurt. Whereas if either of these units fall, I suppose this one is worse for them to fall. So yeah, I'm going to go with a Soul Blight on Gloss's unit, using both dice. He needs a 9. Got an 8 plus his 4, so that's a 12. He has 1 dice to dispel, so he literally cannot dispel it. So Gloss's unit has -1 strength and toughness until the next Wissenland turn. Shooting. Oh god, what do we... I feel like the Huntsmen were a mistake overall. I think they're going to go for shooting at the lead belchers. Yeah, they're all within short range. Champion, miss. Everyone else, 1. I don't know really why I'm going for the lead belchers, no wounds. Yeah, the Huntsmen were a mistake. I think they're good for flanking if they can go for something vulnerable, but there is nothing vulnerable in the Ogre army. Literally everything is bloody made of, like, tempered leather. Even the people. So, tempered leather and really, really big metal. Handgunners against the lead belchers, so only 5 can shoot in short range. -2 because of the hard cover they're in. No hits. Hellblaster, long range against the lead belchers. 3 artillery. Misfire, so the 12 is halved to 6 shots. I may have done this wrong on previous turns. They need a 7 to hit because it's long range and hard cover. I think I may have forgotten that it was long range. No hits at all. I've just realised the Mournfang shouldn't have been testing on 7. They should have been testing on Glosses, which is 9. So they should have been testing on 9, not 7. Whoops. Oh well. It's the roads, the decal roads. They keep throwing me off. I don't see the lines as easily because, you know, they're hidden by wheat and roads. Alright then, let's do the Croc against the Halberdiers. So the Halberdiers are testing on Rocco's 8 with a reroll. Pass. 2 Halberdiers are going to attack the Ogre Bulls, and they are striking at the same time as Croc. 1. No wound. Croc's attacks. 3. It's all over for the Halberdiers, and nobody's crying because they're all dead as well. Okie dokie. So these guys are going to reform to face there, ready to charge in the rear if the Stonehorn doesn't get there first. Just to check, Norbert was not within 6 inches, luckily for him. But now it is, we'll do Gloss's unit against the Spearmen. So Gloss is going to challenge, and Rocco is going to have to accept, because if he doesn't, they can't use his leadership, and they need his leadership. I would reform, but like they would have tried to reform from victory, but it really doesn't make that big a difference at this stage. No, it does, because of the Griffin standard. Although, would they have been able to with these guys here? No, it's too many variables. I'm going to say they can't. Alright, Rocco versus Gloss. They're not quite in contact, so I will shifty Rocco over to meet his doom. Testing fear on Rocco's 8. Pass. Rocco goes first. 3 attacks, 1 hit. No wound. Gloss's attacks, 5 hits. Sorry, Rocco. It's nice knowing you. You were the linchpin of this army. You will be remembered if anybody here, you know, survives. 3 wounds. He gets an armor and saves 1. and then he gets a parry and saves none. Sadly, that is enough to take Rocco's 2 wounds. So Rocco, in a challenge with Gloss, gets killed. And funnily enough, if this was a fortitude battle, that would actually be the first point off them, because nothing that's been destroyed so far has been a banner or anything like that. But this is a battle line mission, and therefore that doesn't matter. Now it is 19 spearmen can attack. Come on, do some damage here. Avenge Rocco. 9. 8 wounds, bloody hell. They have an armor save, but it's not great. 3 pass, so 5 fail. That is 5 wounds on the Iron Guts. That is making a difference. So 1 there, 3 more there, and another 1. That... Oh, hang on. Hang on, I forgot they have +1 toughness. That actually only halves the number. So that's 4 wounds, which I'm going to have to save with a maximum of 3 passing. 3 pass again, so 1 fails. Oh, sorry. I'd spotted it right at the end. So yeah, that is 1 Iron Gut. And now it is 16 Iron Guts attacks back. 6 with their great weapons. That's high chance of wounding. Yeah, 6 wounds, no armor. And now the 2 Iron Guts get to stomp. Gloss doesn't because the guy's already dead. And here is where having the +1 strength comes in handy, because now the stomps are wounding on a 2+. Still only 1 though. Oh, it's -1 strength and toughness. Whoops. Damn. Uh-oh. Huh. I'm going to have to trace this back. This may take me a minute. Okay, I've gone through it again. Luckily it was relatively easy because this fear test at the beginning of the combat made it easy to tell where the combat began. So, the difference is, first of all, Gloss did actually take a wound from Rocco. He rolled a 4, which is what he needed with the -1 toughness. So I need to test a save for Gloss. However, Rocco is probably still dead. He got 3 wounds inflicted instead of 4, although he does have a better armor save, so I will be rolling for that again. And then the Iron Guts, the Spearman against the Iron Guts, is actually what I originally thought it was. So I will just get rid of that Iron Gut and take 1 off there. However, sadly, that doesn't affect the number of wounds that the Iron Guts are dealing out, because they do still have their full contingent. So first of all, the wound Gloss took, he does get an armor save, which he fails, so Gloss actually takes a wound from Rocco. And now Rocco is testing armor on 3 wounds, can take a maximum of 2 in total. He actually passes 2, only fails 1, and then he failed his... He failed all of his parry, so instead Rocco is still alive. Sorry for the roller coaster, but I had to make it right. So that guy, technically 1 fewer spearmen actually attacks because Rocco is still alive, but I'm just going to let them have that one as an apology for the mistake. So Rocco is down to 1 wound, so that is 1 fewer wound there. And yeah, he is still alive. However, Gloss does now get to stomp, and that is a wound. He gets an armor. I'm afraid he fails the armor, and you don't get to parry a stomp. So I'm afraid Rocco is dead again. Oh my god. Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh. This is bloody getting clutch revived in the middle of a fight and then just getting whacked straight back down by the boss. Oh, God. Well, that was totally worth it. I mean, I suppose going through all of that has taken another 4 wounds off the Iron Guts, so that does make a big difference. Not to this fight. This fight is still going horrendously poorly for the Spearman. So, back to where I was. The 2 Iron Guts do get to make a stomp, but they are at -1 strength. So, no wounds. That would have been 2 wounds if they didn't have the -1 strength. Okay, so we have 1 for the banner, 1 for a rank, 1 for the banner, 1 for the rank. So the spearmen lose by 11, and as they are only 2 ranks, they are no longer steadfast. They also no longer have Rocco to do the hold the line, so they're testing on a -4 off their 7, so they're testing on a 3. And I'm afraid they fail. My god, this was a trial of a combat. Okay, so yeah, they are going to flee. I did it again where I moved away from the thing before I rolled how far they flee. But before I do, Norbert is going to have to test, and Sieger is going to have to test. They're both on 7, so Norbert, pass. Sieger, also pass, wow. And the spearmen flee. They're being pursued, by the way. They flee 4, and they are being pursued 8. The spearmen get run down. And maybe this would have been different if I had reformed them, but there were so many variables to try and work out, like, oh, where were the other unit? Would they have fit? Like, they'd be reforming from defeat and so on. So I made a judgment call, and maybe that was the wrong call, because that may have made a big difference here. So they moved 4 inches forwards before they caught them. Now that is bad for Wissenland. And then the final part of the turn, we had the Mournfangs versus Harold and his Greatswords. So the Mournfangs have to test on Harold, and the Greatswords have to test on the Mournfangs. Are they still within range of Gloss? No, they are not. So they have just gone outside of his range. So that was awkwardly planned. I should have done them in the other order. Testing on 7. They do pass, though. The Mournfangs are not afraid. Testing on 8 for the Greatswords. They are also not afraid. Like, no one has been afraid in this entire fight apart from this one moment. Literally the first unit that has fled from combat. Oh no, I suppose there were the archers and stuff. You know, they barely count. Harold's attacks, 2. The Mournfangs still have +1. But that is only 1 wound. Sorry, +1 toughness, but that's only 1 wound. Armor. He actually passes. Wow. That was... If he hadn't passed that, the champion would be dead. As it is, the champion gets to strike back. Champion attacks. Ooh, 4. He's pissed. 3 wounds. Armor. None. He does have the Talisman of Protection, giving him a 6+ ward, which he passes 1. But I believe he only had 2 wounds left, so I'm afraid Harold Giant Slayer is also killed. Oh, yeah, this is the turn in which it all ends. And awkwardly for the Greatswords, because the Mournfang Beast and the Ogre have the same initiative, the Beast does still get to attack. Even though we know that Harold is dead, that is 1 more hit, but no wound. Then it's 12 Mournfang attacks against the Greatswords. 5. 2 wound. No armor. And then 8 Mournfang Beast attacks. 3. 3 wound. No armor. 11 Greatsword attacks because of the champion. 7. 3 wound. 1 armor, 2 fails, so that is 1 more Mournfang gone and 1 other wound. And then finally 2 Mournfang stomps, 2 more wounds. Neither saved, so that is 2 more Greatswords. At the end, the Ogres get 1 for a banner, the Greatswords get 1 for a banner, 1 for a rank, and they lose by 6. Doesn't matter because they are stubborn, so they are always steadfast. They are testing on an 8. Ooh, they pass. This has not been a good turn for them. The board is looking incredibly sparse now as we go into Solland Turn 4. First of all, can the Stonehorn charge? 20 inches, because you always round up. No, because it has a movement of 7, so it can only charge a maximum of 19. So it doesn't need to charge. So instead, anyone else charging? I mean, they sort of can. I don't know that Crocs Lock can, you know. I don't think they can charge past. And no one else can actually see anything. So no one can actually charge this turn. So we'll just have the Stonehorn move 7 inches up to there. Gloss reform to face that way. No, I've just noticed the wells in the way, to that way instead. And then I think actually they will try a swift reform. So, because they have a musician at the back here. So they are testing on glosses 9 with a reroll. They pass with a reroll because Krork is right there. So they can move. And they're going to move 6 inches this way. Or not quite 6. 5 and then wheel 1. So that they are in prime charging at anything that's left here. And that has the added advantage of getting out of these guys' way. Did I move these? I don't think I did. So they're going to wheel 1, 2, and then move 4. They are within 8, so they can't march. But I will test for that. So they are testing on Krork, his 8 with a reroll, to see if they can march. They can, because nobody fails bloody leadership in this match. So they are going to pivot 1 more, 2 more. Can they get past? Yeah, they can. So then 4 more inches. So they're going to go 3 up to there and then pivot 1 more. Cag is fine and dandy where he is. Stood around all this wheat going, what is this weird stuff around me? Can you eat it? Oh, I forgot about the Iron Blaster. I think the Iron Blaster is actually going to charge because, you know, it can't shoot until next turn. So, why not? Has a movement of 6 and it is 11 inches away, so needs a 5, which it gets. And I think, oh god, they might just have to flee. Like, they're not going to beat it in a fight, are they? I think they're beginning to see that the game is up. You know, they've just watched. I mean, they don't have a great view, but they can hear. You know, they can hear all the screaming and the clanging and the shouting, and it just all slowly dies out. Maybe the odd bit of crunching and wet smacking, and then silence. Or as silent as ogres ever are. So yeah, I think they're going to take a flee reaction. And 8 as well, so they are going to escape. The question is, does that carry them off the board? It was a calculated risk. It does not, because although the base is off the board, the model base is not, so they are technically still on the board. And 8 plus the movement of 6 is 14, so it does not catch them. And with a failed charge, you don't actually move the whole thing, do you? You only move the higher dice. So only 6 inches to there. And now the cannot fire thing is lost in the wheat. Magic, 9. I would say that Cag can see Bodo. There is a well and another model in the way, but I would say he does have line of sight, and it's just that the well, I guess, would give cover of some kind if he was shooting, but what he is doing is he is going to do a magic missile Bone Crusher. So Bodo's within the 18-inch range, so he is going to cast Bone Crusher on the lowest, so he needs an 8. Oh, before I forget, channeling ogres. Nope. Channeling Wissenland. 2. That was worth remembering. Let's go with 2 dice on the Bone Crusher. Needs an 8. Gets a 10 plus his level is a 14. And Bodo knows he is going to die if that hits him. So, he's going to put in 3 to dispel it. So that is 12 plus his level 16. That is dispelled. Zod wants to cast Caress of Lanif, but it can only be cast in the front arc, and Bodo is just outside it. So he's going to go for Seeger. So Caress of Lanif needs a 6, target an enemy model, and they could have a bad time. So it's only got a range of 12, which Seeger is within. So he's going to cast this on 2 dice. Oh, bloody 11 plus his level of 13. That is hard to beat. And I think they are going to let it go because Bodo is not bothered. Like, Bodo teaches his students, and that's what Norbert and Seeger are. Bodo teaches acceptable losses. I mean, he's a law of death wizard. Acceptable losses is pretty much the name of the game. What does that say? Share Privry. I don't know why it says this on the inside of a well. Not noticed that before. First time I've used the terrain. Anyway, so yeah, so Bodo is not going to dispel it, and he's just going to let Seeger get hit by the Caress of Lanif. So it takes 2d6 minus strength hits that wound on a 4+. He has a strength of 3, so he takes... Oh, only 3 hits. He may survive. He takes 1 wound. So actually, yeah, he does survive. Miraculously, he had 2 wounds. Why does he look like he's got 3 there? Oh, it does. Oh, may have made a mistake in that, but anyway. Yep, he has 1 wound left. Yeah, same with him. I apparently made a mistake. I'm going to have to go and edit that in the thing. Like, Bodo should have 3, but the Battle Wizards only have 2. He's a Battle Wizard Lord. And I feel I have to cast this at some point. So I'm going to go with the more. I will go with... Do I want to upcast it? I mean, I'm using 5 dice. No, I'll cast it normally. So I need a 15 on 5 dice minus his level. So an 11 on 5 dice, which I literally only just got. So that is cast, and they're going to use all 5 remaining dice to dispel, which is fairly easy because I bloody minimum cast it, basically. Alright, no more today. Have you noticed this here, by the way? Like, this has been here the whole time. I was wondering if this would, like, count as blocking terrain for charges and stuff, but, like, I don't even know if anyone's noticed it, because it's, like, right in the corner of this square, and it's basically the same colour, so I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you noticed that before I pointed it out. But anyway, shooting the stone horn, he has a harpoon, which he's going to throw at Norbert. Or launch. It's a harpoon launcher rather than throwing one. He gets the penalty for moving and shooting, and misses. Lead belchers are going to go at the handgunners again, so that's 5d6 shots. 13. Hard cover, so that is only 2 hit. Only 1 wound. Not enough for the 25%. If that had done 2 wounds, that would have been 25% of the unit. And the Iron Blaster can't shoot, so... Combat. We only have this one left. And the Mornfang Cavalry will challenge and be accepted by the Greatswords champion, just to save his fellows the pain, basically. Testing the fear of the Greatswords on an 8. Pass, of course. Ogre champion attacks. 2. 2 wound. Failed both his armor. He's dead, because he has a great weapon. He strikes last anyway, so yeah. That's just 2 wounds. And the Mornfang Cavalry does also still get to attack. 1. A wound. No armor. So that's another wound counted towards resolution. Not that it really matters. 9 Mornfang attacks. 4. 4 wound. 4 failed saves. Leaving only 8 greatswords to strike back. Impressive 7 hits though. 6 wounds. 2 passed saves, 4 fails. So that is 2 off that guy. Sorry, he got really close to the camera there. And 2 off that guy. So that is not bad. So they get 1 for the banner. They get 1 for the banner. The great swords. Oh no, sorry, stomps. We have 2 stomps. 1 wound. Not saved. So, oh, yeah. Again, doesn't really make that much difference, but it's just whittling the unit down more. So yes, the great swords lose. They're stubborn, so they're still testing on their 8. As soon as this unit breaks, it is pretty much game over. Which is not right now. And we go into Wissenland Turn 4. I am going to be honest. I think Wissenland might lose this match. I don't like to call it ahead of time, and I don't want to give any spoilers of any kind. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to end. I haven't played it yet. But it might be beginning to turn against Wissenland. Bodo here has just watched the 2 commanding officers die horribly. And is watching the last infantry unit get absolutely ground down and eaten. Sorry, my voice caught on that. It's so emotional. He is going to do the only logical and sane thing now that he is himself being targeted. Turn around, because he's a single model, I let them do that, and leave the board. So he has a movement of 8, that's enough to carry him off the board. I think the way we agreed to do this, because I've done this in previous battles, is that if I have a character or someone voluntarily leave the board, it counts as half points. And that's because, technically fleeing off the board is full points. It's basically handicapping the army that does it, so it doesn't feel entirely right to give full points for it. So, yeah, Bodo, half points. I kind of think that these two are also going to try that, now that they've just seen their master leave, so they are going to... he can't make it, so he's just going to go as fast as he can. Norbert as well. I don't know if he's within range. He is... Oh, is he? I'd say he's still on the board there. Oh, Norbert, I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry, I do need to check whether the huntsmen are still fleeing. Testing on their 7. They are still fleeing. They flee. Literally anything is going to take them off the board. Yep, that definitely takes them off the board. So, huntsmen flee. So they all survive. So they got that going for them. And that is it. Is this within 24? Oh, it is. It can do some shooting. Fantastic. Good for it. So technically they are still on the board. Are they going to do any magic as they flee? Yeah, they are. Okay. So I will roll magic, and there are some things they can do. 6. Now there are the 2 ogres. 1. And now there are only 2 Wissenland. And the reason they can cast spells is because they are not... I haven't given them the fleeing thing. So, although, they're voluntarily moving, they're not fleeing, you know? So that's why that's why they can still cast spells. Well, let's start off with an aspect of the Dread Knight, 24-inch range, I'm fairly sure. Yep, he's easily within that. As it is an augment, it can be behind him. He can just cast it over his shoulder as he is sprinting away in sheer panic. Let's see, they've got, what, 6 dice? They're not going to get Knockham's Mind Razor off, are they? Unless they used all 6 dice. But even then, it's it's not going to make a big difference. They need to... Yeah, they need to survive. They need more than they need to be able to kill. Alright, so let's go with an upcast aspect of the Dread Knight. 6 dice on... Needs a 9 minus his level, so needs an 8. Irresistible. Sorry, a fly just flew in front of me. Go away. So the great swords now cause terror. But let's see what happens to Seeger. 10. Power drain. His wizard level is reduced by D3. He is a first level wizard, so he has no wizard level anymore. Oh, I mean, what a way to go. What a way to, the last contribution to the board. Shooting. They can keep going for the lead belcher building, or they can try going for the iron blaster. They're really not doing much with the lead belchers, are they? Yeah, they actually have a higher chance of hitting the iron blaster than they do the lead belchers, because it's long range rather than hard cover. 5 handgunners. 2. Very low chance to hurt it. No, nothing. Worth a try, though. And the Hell Blaster. This actually can do a lot of damage. And Gloss's unit is right there. So it has a range of 24, so it is within range. And it's going to go for it, because it's the first time it's had an actual bloody target this entire game. It's just been really poorly positioned. 16 halved to 8 shots. 3 hit. Decent chance to wound, and... Oh, 1 wound, but it does go straight through their armor. So I don't believe it's multiple wounds. No, it is not. So that is one wound off. Why do I have 2 that are wounded? Why does this happen sometimes? I know why Gloss is wounded, but why do I have 2 here? I don't know. I'm just gonna consolidate it because I don't remember what it's for. And I don't know if that's the thing messing up or me messing up, because this is the third recording session. In case you don't know, I do these in like about 2 hours, although these have actually been 2.5-hour segments. So this match has been over 5 hours long. So yeah, I break it up into several recordings, and sometimes it messes up on a reload. So like the Lead Belcher, for example, when I reload, he just resets to like here, and it's like, oh, okay, and then I just have to shift him back down again. But yeah, so when it does something like that and the wounds aren't what I remember them being, it's like, did I mess up or did this mess up? I know this one makes sense. I mean, it should be this one because it's the musician always takes the wounds before the standard bearer does. So apologies about that. And combat. So now that the great swords cause terror, the Mournfang have to test for fear, and the great swords don't. But the Mournfang are within range of gloss, meaning they are testing on a 9. I don't think they're within reroll range, which I have to check because they failed. They are within reroll range. Krork is right there. And the reroll is a pass. So they are unaffected by the fear. The surviving ones have 10 ogre attacks between them. 6 hit. 5 wound, that's nasty. Armor save. 2 save. 3 dead. I'm beginning to see, like, and again, this is an obvious thing, but there is a lot of synergy in what you sort of need in an Empire army. Like, because the previous match had basically entirely battle priests, it struggled in the magic phase, or at least it struggled to do anything other than basic combat augments. And then in this one, where there are no battle priests, stuff like the great swords suddenly feel a bit flimsy when they're hit by something with armor penetration, because they don't have any chance of getting a ward save. So you really do need to mix and match, and locking off certain things in the army list does severely impact how useful the army list is, and that was the problem with Solland early on. 7 hits from the Mournfang cavalry beasts. Bloody 6 more wounds. Barely any armor due to the high strength. So 1 save, 5 more dead. That is the unit wiped out, sorry. They fought really well, and they are going to reform to face that way. And we go into Solland Turn 5. First of all, Norbert is within the front arc of the Stonehorn and within charging range. Frenzy decrees it must charge, which is basically what I would try and do anyway. So the Stonehorn is going to charge, Norbert is going to flee. Obviously he's about to flee off the board. Yep, 8 inches is enough to get him off the board, fleeing this way. So he's off the board. That one will count as full points because he did actually flee off the board due to game mechanics and not player choice. The Stonehorn is going to take a leadership test to try and redirect, because otherwise he's got to pursue him off the board, basically. So testing on a 7 to see if he can redirect the charge. If he even is within range, 21? No, he's literally not. So yeah, charge fails. So what did I roll for I didn't roll his charge distance. So I'll roll this and he moves the higher one, just because of the way failed charges work. So yeah, he just moves 4 inches this way. These ogres are going to charge Seeger, who is also going to take the flee reaction. Shocker, I know. So ogre charge distance first. 5. Seeger charge flee distance 11. He escapes. He just straight off the board. Again, full points. Nothing to redirect the charge to, so they just move the higher one they rolled, which was a 3. So they just move 3 inches forwards. The Mournfang are going to charge the Hellblaster volley gun. So 13. They have a movement of 8, so they need... Hang on, was that 13.1? Yes, it was. So it's 14. They need a 6 on 2 dice. They have Swift Stride. They get it anyway. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They don't have any kind of ogre charge ability, so I just rolled that one pointlessly. They only just made it, though. But yes, they do smash into the front of Hjá, which will pivot to face them. Good luck to those poor, definitely dead crewmen. May their next life be more merciful. Fairly sure these are well out of range. Yes, they are. So, I guess to wrap this up, this will... well, this one, I think, as a sort of a chariot, it does actually have to pivot properly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think that was 6. And then 2 forward. Nope, has a movement of 6. Stops there. Still can't fire, though. It can march, though, as it can't fire, so it's just going to march another 6 forwards, well out of the 8 inches distance. Cag is going to go and lean on this wall casually, like just a slaughter master who's having a nice day out in a weird edible field. Krork is going to move 6 and then march to get as close as possible because they are completely fearless. Is it worth doing magic? I mean, I could Purple Sun. That would be really stupid. Let's not do that. Range of 18 or 36. Can he see? He can see the building. And it's within 36, so if he did an upcast Bone Crusher, that could work on the people in the building, so I guess he will do that. So let's roll magic. Sorry, at this stage I'm like trying to work out if it's worth going through the rigmarole of the magic phase to just to cast like 1 or 2 spells, because, you know, at this stage of the game it feels almost more faff than it's worth. Channeling ogres, nothing. It seems really silly to put 6 dice into this, but if I don't know, I can put 5 in. Can almost certainly cast it on 5. Not irresistible. Total of 24 with his level. So everything to try and dispel that, but they're going to need a double 6, which they don't get. It is cast. So that is Bone Crusher, magic missile, so it automatically hits them in the building. 2d6, strength 2 hits, no armor. So I did weigh up the option of doing like a Maw. Only 5 hits, that's really not much. Of doing a Maw instead, but that would have only done d6 hits. Wow. Okay, 1 wound, no armor, so that's just 1 guy dead. Not 25%. Cracking straight on, shooting. The lead belchers are going to open fire on the handgunner building. 5d6 shots. Oh, wow, 11. Poor. Handgunners get hard cover from the building, so that is only 2 hits. 1 wound. They have no armor, so that is another 1 dead. Still not 25%, because it has to be in a single phase. And on to the combat. First of all, impact hits, because they do d3 impact hits each, and 3 of them have made contact. Well, actually, 2 of them have made contact with the actual gun, which is what I do the impact hits off, so let's go with 2d3 impact hits. 4 impact hits. Still a 6 to wound, mind. None at all, wow, yeah. The idea is that they take cover among the thing or behind the thing, which is what they do when they're getting shot at, so it sort of makes sense that they let the machine get hit and then come out to actually fight the round of combat. And because of initiative, the crew actually go first. First of all, testing fear on 7, they fail, so they have a weapon skill of 1. Bloody whelp. Good luck, guys. 1 hit. A wound. Imagine if a crewman... This happened with the Stonehorn. Imagine if a crewman gets a wound. Armor save. It... The Imperial crewman. And the funny thing is, there's one with only 1 wound left. So I didn't specify I was going for the champion, so it's got to be the unit. So yeah, it actually manages to hurt and kill a bloody Mournfang cavalry. First the Stonehorn, then a Mournfang. Literally the biggest things in the army are getting killed by crewmen. 7 ogre attacks, 6 hit. It's all over. Quite literally, not quite. But do they have to test? Yeah, they do. They are going to have to test for panic. Because they are within, the handgunners are within 6 inches of the Hellblaster volley gun that just got demolished. Testing on a 7 to see if they panic. They don't. They are like, we will fight to the end to protect Pfeildorf. we're from here, and it's probably not the accent they'd have. They probably have a Germanic accent, but you know, we're from here, and we won't let some monsters take it. To which Castle would probably say, probably best to kill them then. And the Mournfang are going to reform after the fight to face the house. As we go into Wissenland Turn 5. I was considering them voluntarily abandoning the fight as well, but no, they rolled a bloody double 1 for their fear, for their panic test. So no, they're going to stay and they're going to do what they can. So they are going to open fire on the Mournfang. They are within short range, with obviously skipping straight to the shooting phase because that's literally all there is left. There are 5 of them, which is a full shooting contingent. Go on, guys, do us proud. 2 hits. I just double checked, and although there are only the 2 Mournfang left, the champion doesn't count as like a separate thing for allocating shots like a character does. So they all hit the unit, and then it sort of goes along like that. So basically there is no way the champion can die, I'm afraid. I was really hoping there was, just because that would be cool, but no. 1 wound, armor save, saved. So I'm afraid he wouldn't have died anyway. They tried. They did their best. And with that, we go into Solland's final turn. And first of all, the Mournfang are going to that flies back. Go away! I got rid of you. Sorry. It's on my screen now. The Mournfang are going to charge the building. Because they can charge the building and fight, I believe. They just can't occupy it. Croxlot are moving in just in case, but yeah, let's be realistic, they're not going to need it, and I'm not going to bother doing the rest. So yeah, the idea is that the others are sort of all moving in. Let's just jump straight to this combat. Handgunners testing fear on 7. They fail. Miserably. They are terrified. They just tried shooting them. Nothing happened. So yeah, they're not pleased. So they have 1 weapon skill. I don't believe they get impact hits when the people they're fighting are in a building, so we skip straight to the 5 fighting. Handgunners, 0. Yep, they're terrified. They are absolutely terrified. With bloody good reason, frankly. Ogre attacks back. 4. 2 wounds. No armor. 8 Mournfang attacks. 6. I had to double check whether mounts could fight, and they can. 5 more wounds. Alright. I didn't think it was worth going to remove them until I found out if all of them were dead, and they all are. So it is over. The Mournfang just kill the last guys in there. This was such a blowout. And I sort of put it down to, I'll talk a bit more about it at the end, but I sort of put this down to Wissenland not knowing how to fight an ogre army when they've been fighting men from Solland this whole time. This just caught them off guard, even though they'd fought alongside ogres. This was just so much worse than they ever expected. Of the 36 ogres that cast a centre fight, 24 are left. Only a third of the army was killed. On the other hand, all 214 people sent by Wissenland either died or fled. Sorry, just quickly, I noticed that Cag cast a spell on the last turn and I forgot about Blood Gruel, so on a 2+, he regains the 1 wound he's lost. Or takes another, that works too. Takes a wound on a 3+, yeah. So he actually takes another wound instead of healing. Matters for recovery, you know. For dead or fled, counting half-destroyed units is worth half points, Wissenland scored 559, which is, I admit, more than I expected. However, that is all they get. They did not destroy a single unit and they get no bonus points. On the other hand, Solland, with dead or fled, scored 2,739. Add in the General for 100, the Battle Standard Bearer for another 100, 2 Siege Standards for a total of 50, and the Underdog for killing Harold with a unit champion for 50 more, giving them a total of 3,039 points. In this battle, Solland Revivalists won with a difference of 2,480.5. I don't know where the 0.5 is from. A half value unit, obviously, but you know, the point is that that was an absolute massacre, and I don't really know where I went wrong. This is the biggest match I've ever fought. It was very close to 3,000 points aside, and it's definitely the largest, obviously the largest ogre force I've ever used, and I guess I just didn't know how to counter it, and neither did Wissenland. So, I don't know. Maybe it was the bad deployment, maybe the cannons and Hellblaster. I mean, the Hellblaster and the cannon on sort of the bottom end of the board really didn't do much, and that was a problem. And probably a very big problem. I also did think I wasted some points on the Huntsmen and the Archers. That did nothing. I thought sheer number of arrows would get through, but it just did so little, it's not even worth talking about. Going into this one, I had no idea how the few ogres there were could beat such a huge force, and it turns out they are just rock bloody solid. I really enjoy the ogres. Anyway, put in the comments if you have any suggestions for how I could play it better, especially suggestions for how to beat ogres. This is the Countess of Wissenland going on to the known forums being like, please, how do I beat ogres? But we will see how this has affected the campaign. Next up is the final battle of round 6, seeing Clan Deathtoll besieging Castle Drakenhof. So that'll be a fun one. Remember that the mods for this table and for my spell cards are both linked in the description. Go check those out, and I will catch you later.